report in.
Red 10 standing by.
Red 7 standing by.
Red 3 standing by. Red 6 standing by.
Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by.
Yeah, we have a new Red 1 standing by. We have a big announcement right from the get-go. But first, live from Las Vegas, Nevada, this is the Irrational Milk. I have Logan Duong. I hope I'm saying your name right. Yeah, I am. Cool. And we're going to talk about body count today. I know this has been done to death, but I think I can put a new spin on it today. And we got a few other topics to get into, but I think we're going to use for a real good show today. Finally, got somebody in the studio. Live in studio from Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Northern Command Center. What will be the Northern Command Center for a while. There we go. Yes, watch out for grizzly bears. Trader SZ already throwing me love. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated, my best friend. If you don't know what Kittenheimer is, please get on Kittenheimer. that is my meme coin du jour. Oh boy, here you go. You guys ready for this? Kyle just shot me this. Oops, wait a minute.
Wings report in.
Red 10 standing by.
Need that again.
Red 3
This is the
standing
thing
by.
I hate about
Red 6
running these,
standing by.
running the sound off of these things. Let's go there.
A special surprise for you today. This is the new home of Red 1 Studios. So, finally got the key. Finally have a key fob. And I'm gonna give you the grand tour. Welcome. So this is the kitchen area here, which will probably end up turning into a very large, let's do the main studio. We're gonna give the big old giant table here. As you can see out here, we got a really good view of the strip. You can see the reel's there, but it gets better. So we have here, I believe you wanted to turn this into the control room, right?
Yeah.
This is gonna be the control room. So this is what we'll set up. This is where producer Kyle will take care of everything for us. Again, you can see the little bit more of the strip from this side over here. You can see the Cosmo, you can see Caesars, see whatever else. Looks pretty good. So come in, welcome. Look, see, we spare no expense here at Red 1 Studios. So if you need to take a shower, if any of the ladies need to take a shower afterwards, hopefully at some point we'll have Access Vegas here. But for the time being, this will be the home of Cultivate Crypto, Dollar Cost Crypto. Charlie is Cultivate Crypto,
yeah.
right? Yeah. And then of course the Rational Mail, and we're also going to have Access Vegas as soon as we get everything set up. So this way. Beautiful. Look at this. And this is the money shot right here. So at nighttime, you'll be able to see all the lights of Vegas. That's the 15 right there. And so it'll be a very nice backdrop for the show. Here, we're going to turn this into the green room. So we'll have a couch in here. We can do some casual conversations and some casual interviews, like a one-on-one or a two-on-one. Possibly this will be where we'll have like the girls kind of set up for the shows when we're about to do them for Access Vegas or any kind of variety thing. This will be just sort of the green room, the lounge around room. Of course, we'll have a bathroom in here for them as well. Also very nice. Very, very Vegas-y. So lots of storage, lots of good stuff here. It's basically a 2-bedroom apartment here. And we're very, very close to the strip. So as you guys can see, yeah. Let's go have a look outside so we can have fun on the deck as well. Once again, now you can see the much better shot here. Well, at nighttime, this is gonna be great. We gotta come back out here and do a nighttime shot. So
Yeah, most definitely.
We got all this on this side as well. I can see us doing many great things with this. So welcome to the new home of Red 1 Studios. This is the Southern Command Center for Red 1. And we'll be doing some more shots here. We'll give you more updates as we get moved in. And me and Kyle have a lot of work to do. So we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Count after
your body count?
Yes, like
and
after
you're
20.
19?
I'm 19.
You are rewiring
Sure.
your brain and your attachment. It's
Sure.
actually very serious. Like there is long-term damage to your brain from that.
I mean, I can
Brain
live with that.
damage.
Like actual. Oh my god! I'm not calling you stupid or anything for doing this. I'm
Tell her
just
she has brain damage.
No,
You're
I-
kind of hard.
Do it.
It is affecting your brain.
Yeah,
and
you
that's-
have brain damage.
I genuinely.
I actually have all A's. I'm a student.
It has a lot to do with attachment. So I'm just saying, like, what you're doing right now will affect you later in life.
Brain damage.
And
Understand why guys would have a problem with a woman with a high body count, though.
My girl.
Do you understand the logic behind it?
I think it's insecurity. That's
feel
where it
it's
comes
insecurity
from.
to
Like,
explain.
do they really want to have a woman that is just a virgin? Because she's not gonna be good,
Yeah,
and she's
look at
gonna
that
have
expression.
no experience.
They don't
and
need you to be good, though.
That's so boring. Isn't that
It's not
boring?
boring.
It just sounds transactional to me.
So guys that are alpha guys that want to be, head of households and consider themselves leaders and want to provide for their women, they don't find it unattractive that a woman would have inexperience, because they feel like what's going to make that experience in the bedroom so powerful is not that she can bounce off the walls or knows all these tricks or knows all these sexual things and, oh, look, she's doing something like out of a porno. That's not what's appealing to them. What's appealing is that she's really excited to be there for him. She's present. She's committed. And he doesn't need her to be an acrobat. He just needs her to be loyal.
No, I kind of do need her to be an acrobat, but I mean, we could train. I'll train you in gymnastics.
Yeah, so we have other girls helping.
I'll tell you, it's funny is that just to put a real quick asterisk in this interview. Remember, this is well prior to the split between Destiny and Melania. So it's kind of funny to see it in hindsight now.
Insecure for a guy to care about a woman's body count.
That's like what I would assume.
Assume they're insecure about what?
Like just like the other guys.
I hear this a lot, and you're not necessarily wrong, but I'm gonna add a twist to it. So what? What's wrong with a man being insecure about his woman having slept with a whole bunch of men? Now that's what I really want to know the answer to, because I get tired of women saying, he's insecure. Okay, let's say you're right. So what? Now what? Yes, I'm insecure. I don't like the fact that you slept with a whole bunch of men. I don't like the fact that you were a sperm depository dumpster. I don't like that. So let's say that. So then what? Now what? Now that I've admitted that I'm insecure and that it bothers me because I'm worried about your fidelity, your loyalty to me. I'm worried about if you're going to fall back into your ways, your habits. When you were sleeping around with these men, that is going to reveal itself in our relationship. I'm worried about if you're going to cheat. I'm worried about all of these things.
I love that one.
You go, there's a hot girl. But a guy who is established, has great character, great body, tall, successful. Those are the unicorns. Women don't come off their high horse real soon and start getting in touch with real reality. They're gonna be left behind because men are not putting up with this shit anymore. They know their worth now. They know what you're doing and they might tell you what you want to hear to get what they need. Yeah. But that's why these women are going through body count after body count. These guys are playing them. Yeah, we'll take you to Spain. I'll take you to Italy. Meanwhile, they have 5 girls in different hotels all in Italy. I mean, let's get real. Every girl is chasing after this man with money who's gonna, put them in this castle and they can, never have to work and call a maid and a housekeeper and a chef. And if everything is given to you, you're going to be empty and shallow and unhappy. And so these girls chase this thinking it's going to make them happy. And instead they're left bitter and angry and alone because there is no such thing.
To men caring about body count.
Yes. I don't really know why I object to it. I just know that it's...
You just don't like it, right?
I personally, and it has to do with my feelings. I personally I think it's odd.
Let's say for a second that there are men out there, because there's tons, who don't approve of the LGBTQ just based on their feelings. Is that okay with you?
No.
Oh, it's not. Oh. It's almost like your objection here.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, and I'm hearing it not make sense as it's coming out of my mouth.
Moving on. Going around the table. Body count.
It's 9. You know, I grew up Christian, completely turned away from God when I was in college, and I started believing certain things about myself, that I was an object, that
shocking, I know,
no one was going to love me, that I was only good for you know, fulfilling someone's sexual desires, and I really started to believe that. So I'm so grateful that I had people in my life who affirmed what's true, is that I deserve to be honored and valued and cared for, and have a partner who's really there for me. But I just want to say to all the women out there who are maybe thinking, hey, I'm too far gone, I don't think there's such a thing as too far gone. You can always turn it around and have a positive relationship with someone if you can turn around from.
But what about Lily? I mean, I agree with you.
If your
she might be
heart-
far gone.
Know that after like 5 to 7 partners, your chance of a happy marriage drops to like 20% in 10 years, roughly.
Stinks like Pearl in here.
Why though?
Yeah, if you're, I mean,
why does body count matter so fucking much?
I
Ridiculous.
do think that part of the reason that your chance of a happy marriage go down is because you have more experience and you know what you want.
How is women having more partners working in society? Is it leading us to having more fulfilling, long, happy relationships or not? Because 100 years ago, only 15% of women admitted to premarital sex, 85% of women.
And you know why they
And
admitted?
then, let's say they're let's say they're big liars and we double it. Okay, that's still 2 out of 3 that were virgins on their wedding night. And so, like, my question is, are relationships in a better place today than they were 100 years ago? Because say what you want about relationships 100 years ago, you cannot tell me that the way relationships are today are working. Like, half of our generation is afraid of getting married.
Don't you need a relationship to speak on relationships?
I don't, and I never have understood why men care so much. If you're intending to be in a relationship with this woman, to date them, be their girlfriend, wife, whatever, I can understand wanting to know that or be concerned about that. But I don't know why so many random men care so much about women's body count and whether or not they're a virgin or not.
Because we're pattern recognition machines. And so what
But
happens
unless
is
you're
that if we see a pattern all the time of certain behaviors, then what ends up happening is we make these assumptions. Now, you're right. They're not always right. They're not always right. Okay? But you can understand why people do it. You do it yourself.
Prompted you to decide to leak all this, go public?
That's my revenge. To be honest, he hurt me. I
Oh, here we go. It's Ling Ling, the revenge of Ling Ling.
want to hurt him. That's all.
Did you say revenge?
Yes. Like, they're never gonna learn a lesson if I didn't do anything actually like that's gonna damage them. All of a sudden, he switched from somebody that's nice, charming, to somebody that's like, I'm just a stranger. Like,
Yeah, and he deserved to be punished for that, right?
thanks for that. Yeah.
I mean, he did, right? He deserved to be punished. He deserved for you to punish him for doing that horrible thing to you, right?
Well, I didn't expect that from you, but thank you.
Okay, but he did, right? Didn't he?
He's asking you.
Didn't he? I mean, he deserved it, right?
He did.
Yeah, so, I mean, he needed to be punished, didn't he?
Is he really punished? I don't know.
Yeah,
Because
and he still needs to be punished, doesn't he?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want to like see him in jail or like?
Yes.
Whoa. Yep. See, now the truth comes out. And
all this, what do you
shot
call it?
and chaser.
Being a cuck.
Yeah, that's the.
You're
that's
a
the
cuck
one.
advocate.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some experience in that one. It was just a guy, he was like, watching people have sex with his wife. I said, I got a twin brother. Can I bring him along? He said, the more the merrier. Long story short, we had sex with his wife and he watched. I couldn't even get hard because he kept looking at me.
Was this the first time you guys had fucked in front of each other?
Yeah, it was like, it's weird because it feels like you looking at yourself. The weird.
That's
So
wild.
you're straight. You're a straight guy.
I'm like bisexual-ish.
Bisexual-ish?
Bisexual-ish. I don't think I'd ever date a guy, but I'll hook up with him.
What the fuck? That's gay-splaining.
Gay-splaining.
Like if my wife came home and I was down sucking a dude's cock, she would say I'm gay.
Would she say you're gay or that's gay?
I'm gay.
You are gay.
What is a woman?
Fuck, that's a really complicated question.
Man, come on, man.
That's an insanely fucking complicated question.
Yeah?
Here, without diving too deep in all this dumbass shit, okay? Listen, okay? Jesus Christ, okay?
Yeah.
Bro, that's why I was
There
watching
you go.
the phone,
Oh, man. Welcome. I have Mr. Logan Duong with me today. Hey, what's
how's it going?
Man? He's not in the cuck chair. I'm sorry to say. That is not the cuck chair.
Hey, thanks for coming on. You're my first guest on this show, which is only going to be in the studio for one more Sunday.
Yeah.
So before we get started, I need to. I feel like I kind of gave you short shrift when you were on Access Vegas with me
a little bit
on Thursday, because I like people like, who is this guy? What's he all
I was
about?
very quiet. I was just listening.
Yeah, well, you were for the first, and then you jumped in, which is kind of good because I like that in a guy. Because like when I'm like, especially like if I'm doing interviews, I'm working with somebody like I've known you for a while now. I went on your show, which is now canceled.
No, not yet.
Not yet. I was just wondering. No, I went on your show. That was about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, right before I left for a little bit on a trip.
And then we met up again at whatever podcast.
In Santa Barbara
last year.
Yep.
And now you're back and you're in Vegas right now. So why don't you tell everybody like what you're about?
Yeah, so I've been creating content for the past 4.5 years. I started with the podcast, helping young guys improve their dating lives, their mindset, and just overall, just being happier, and just teaching that alpha mindset, because that's what helped me a lot as well. And a lot of my mentors were Coach Corey Wayne, Rollo Tomasi, Stefan Arnio from the book Hard Times Create Strong Men. So all these books that I read, 40 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, helped me out a lot. And I started to share those books, and I started to share the parts of those books that helped me out a lot. And even though I'm a super young guy, I've gone through a lot of the things that older guys have gone through, not getting married or anything, but like, getting my heart's broken, business is failing, losing money, wasting a bunch of fucking time, just like every other fucking dude. So those are the things I like to speak about on my podcast and help other guys, especially young dudes who are going through the same things. And I think society nowadays, I've been saying it's getting worse with a lot of dudes with the simping pandemic. So that's been my focus, helping young dudes, fucking turning them from simps to pimps. I had that hashtag and went viral on TikTok. And that's how I actually started, was on TikTok. I had a caption, stop simping, start pimping. And it's just me fucking just making out with a bunch of random chicks or getting a bunch of random chicks. And then it kind of motivated dudes to go out there and have fun and not waste time. And I think that's what motivated me as well. Is like when I got my heart broken, it was the boys were like, hey, let's go out, let's have fun, let's talk to chicks, instead of just sitting there watching porn, wasting time, fucking still trying to simp over the same chick. I think that's what guys need. Guys need like that brotherhood. Guys need a mentor. Guys need a leader. Guys need a father. And I think that father figure has been removed from society just through feminism, the Matrix, and all this other bullshit programming. And even trying to remove God as well. And that's that he's the ultimate father, right? So society has been brainwashing guys for the longest time. And I really think what we're doing in this space and helping guys create content, or just motivating guys in any single way is incredibly important. Because once guys realize that we're in charge, because we actually are, no matter what, the reason why these girls are still hoes is because guess what? Simps are pushing them to do that. They're fucking supporting these girls. So without realizing it, guys are actually in power. Guys are actually in charge. So kind of motivating guys to make the right decisions. So shows like this and other shows is incredibly important. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about me as well throughout this fucking show, and a little bit about the military.
And I wanted to also, because we weren't able to point this out in Access Vegas, but you are in the military.
Yeah.
I'll let you go as deep or as shallow as you want with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's in the military right now, just so you know. We're going to talk a little bit about the military today too, and sort of like the simp pandemic.
Yeah. All right, it's there too.
And you're Asian.
Yes, I'm half Vietnamese, half white.
Half Vietnamese, half white.
Yeah. So my dad's Vietnamese, and my dad likes white chicks.
Right.
So, yeah.
There it is.
So I'm Asian.
There it is. There it is. There it is. Because I'm trying to head off the chat at the pass here, because I know this is going to okay, insert cringy Asian joke right now. I'd say, well, because what's funny is like when the two demographics of guys that I really wish I could reach a little bit better, or I had better answers for, guys who are Asian guys and guys who are like Indian guys.
Yeah,
because those are the guys that like they got the fucking shit end of the stick in this and in a global sexual market right now.
Yeah, look at the stats.
Like when I was first becoming aware of like what was the formally aware of what the black pill was, it was generally guys who were like Indian or Asian, and they were here in the United States, and they followed along this sort of life plan, like, oh, if I get my doctorate or my master's in like coding and I go work in Silicon Valley, then I'm going to be able to fuck Pamela Anderson, and literally that's the chick that they want, like, blonde hair, blue eyes, huge tits, right? And then I had for a long time, probably back in like 2017, 2018, 2019, I had a lot of guys who would say, hey, can you help me get the girl of my dreams, basically. And they all look the same. They all look like Pamela Anderson. You know, it was like the standard, you know, blonde centerfold. And I'm like, what is it with these guys? And then I realized, I looked at some of these videos, these quote unquote black pill videos that were coming out at the time. And they were just basically doing just their field research on, you know, Asian women who didn't want to have anything to do with Asian men. And basically, especially in India right now, I sometimes talk to, she's a film producer. Her name is Deepika Bardashwan. She actually produced, and she's done several films, but her most recent one is called India's Sons. And it's really sort of this crisis of marriage and crisis of intersexual dynamics and everything that's going on in it. It's just absolutely insane. Like the shit that guys like men have to deal with in the marriage market and stuff. Like if I was in India right now, I would get the fuck out of India if I was a guy.
Well, here's the one thing I noticed, that a lot of these guys, I mean, there's a stereotype around these guys, and it is actually true, where a lot of these guys are very quiet, they're very submissive, and yeah, that's pretty much it, bro. Like that's what you hear. Like when most girls,
I noticed that they have kind of this blue pill mindset in that, like
100%.
They follow along with what they think the tradition is.
Yeah, so the tradition is like, it's very like it doesn't really help them. They're very traditional in terms of like that mindset, the way they think. And Asian guys, they know. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll kind of see it, right? But a lot of Asian guys, you'll see that they are like a little bit of following their chicks around, a little bit more obedient, and it's just kind of weird. And I don't know why. I've seen a lot of Japanese guys too. When I went to Japan, I cleaned up, bro, because as an Asian dude, you go to Japan and you have some sort of confidence. You don't even have to be super confident, but you go out there, you talk to these girls, you just fucking grab them, pull them in. They're just like so like, oh my god, like this is a super dominant dude that I do not come across. And it's so easy. It's so easy because when you go to these clubs in Japan or you go out in the public on the streets, it's ridiculous. Like these guys are like actually super fucking weird. They're super quiet. They don't want to talk to the girls, and they're just super shy, right? And here's another thing for the Asian guys who are watching is like, this is a perfect opportunity to be polarizing. Is like when girls see me or guys see me, they're expecting me not to say some crazy shit or to not be doing some crazy shit. And then when I do it, it's super polarizing. And they're like, whoa, who is this guy? He's young. He is Asian, but he's not, he doesn't act like that.
It's like
stereotype
playing against the meta.
Yeah. So I don't think it's bad at all. I don't think it's bad at all. And same thing with like being on Tinder stuff. Like there's actual stat where it's like you said, Asian guys are like the least swiped on those dating apps, right? So on those dating apps, just be super bold, be super confident, be super fucking cocky, and you'll be more polarizing. You'll stand the fuck out. And I think you have a better chance rather than some other dude who is more attractive. They expect that guy to be already dominant and cocky. So when they see it from another dude who they don't expect it from, it stands out like way farther.
Do you think Asian women would rather get with Asian men?
No, they like white guys, bro.
Yeah, well, I know that.
I mean, most
attraction-wise, but you think like would they like want to settle down with an Asian guy?
Maybe traditionally, but bro, I mean, like if you look at these marriages, like these Asian marriages, the wife is like, they'll stay together because it's tradition, but they fucking hate each other, bro. And it's just like, why would you want to be in a marriage where they just don't love each other? And I've seen a lot of Asian households. I have a lot of Asian guys who follow me where they tell me, yeah, you know, my household and was not very loving. They didn't show a lot of love. And I think that's a big issue. And I'd rather have the parents like divorce and be happy rather than them stay together and not show any love. Because when the kids grow up, they grow up thinking that's normal, where mommy and daddy, they don't show each other love. And so that's what they start to look for in their relationships as well. And if you understand like how this works, like, yeah, you kind of learn all this stuff from your parents and your parents' relationship.
Why do you think like Asian men are like that now? Like they're much more introverted. They're much more like they're shy. There's not wanting to go make approaches. They're just
it's the culture, bro. It's 100% the culture. I mean, the same thing, like there's stereotypes about black dudes, stereotypes about white dudes. It's not wrong. And like race is real. And people like to pretend it's not. It's real.
Stereotypes exist for a reason.
Yeah, they're real. Like he said, there's a pattern and people notice the pattern. It's real. But here's the cool thing though, is like they have a stereotype on black people that they expect them to be ghetto and rap and all this other bullshit, right? In that culture. But if you stand out, you know, you dress nice, you speak like very professionally, right? I don't know if you know who Prince Fortunatus is or even like Myron, right? They speak very professionally and they stand out. It's polarizing and people actually would rather listen to that. And it's like, whoa, I expect this guy to be fucking gangster or ghetto, but it's like, no, he's actually super professional. Now you're more likely to listen to him than some white guy wearing a suit because like you expected that already. So it's an opportunity to stand out.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say this. It's also the kind of the same thing with congruency. Like if you see a guy and he looks like The Rock, you're expecting a certain personality to come out of The Rock's mouth, right? You're expecting him to be a certain way. Like a guy who lifts, a guy who, looks like that is going to have a certain attitude towards life. And then when you find out that guy is like, he has a lisp and he has sort of the gay voice or whatever like that, then that's incongruent with what you were expecting from that guy. Now that can work like in the positive, and it can also work in the negative, right? So as far as a positive is like what you were saying with Myron and stuff, it's like you're expecting something different, but then when you see that he is, it's not necessarily congruent with what you were expecting, but it's actually a pleasant surprise instead of a bad one. Yeah. Let me get to some of these super chats here real quick because I got a billion people already asking me shit. What is the gym? Oh, you mean in the in Red One Studios? We have a really great gym here. In fact, I think Kyle. I think what we need to do when we finally get moved in, or we're in the process of moving in, I think we should probably do some like Instagram lives or something while we're doing this.
Hell yeah!
But we also need to go downstairs and we need to go to the gym that's here, and then I don't think I'm going to give the location just yet. We're right off the strip, as you can see. But we have a fantastic gym. We've got a great meeting area too, where we can like do meetups if we want to do private meetups and stuff like that, which we're planning on doing. Also, we have a really great pool that's here, and it's like an outdoor kind of commons area. It's really nice. It's really high end stuff. So it's really great. There you go.
This camera went out.
And so I would love to be able to do some shot, or maybe do some like sort of casual. There you go. Did we lose it?
Yeah, this camera went out. Someone with the battery problem.
Oh, okay. Did you click it up again? There we go. We're back. Okay. So I would very much like to go do some sort of casual stuff down by the. Did you see the pool when we were coming in? It was pretty nice.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it. I just went straight to the lobby.
You went through the lobby, so you saw the commons area where those.
Yeah, the gym's dope.
Yeah, the gym is pretty cool too. So yeah, very much so. There is actually a really great gym here. What do you got? Read your books. By the way, quit being a Pearl hater. Dude, I will hate whoever the fuck I want to hate. She's doing a good service. No, she's tricking you. Actually, she's good at it. Yeah, she's good at tricking you. I'll be your competition, and I will have you both on. No, you won't. If you do, please make sure that it's on a ground floor. That's all I'm gonna say. Tomasi 24. I am not running for president, but I appreciate the sentiment. Okay, well, this is a good question. Are alpha chads born or made? What do you think,
bro? I feel like guys naturally, as a kid, you are born kind of with that alpha essence where you want to jump on the table, you want to do whatever the fuck you want to do. And I feel like society slowly beats you down. I think Kanye talked about this as well, where it's like, the kid wants to jump on top of a coffee table and then he gets yelled at repeatedly and then he stops. But what's actually wrong with it? Nothing. It's just the fact that it's exactly, but society has conditioned people, and especially guys, to act a certain way. And I really think that guys in their most natural state of being is not giving a fuck about anything. It's very childlike behavior. And when you compare childlike behavior to being an alpha male, it's very fucking similar.
Well, I think it's really more like self-importance.
Yes.
Like I was just talking about this a little while ago. People asked me about like to define. Oh, I know what it was. I was asked to define this on Manect, by the way. In case you are wondering, yes, I do Manect now. I got a question on Manect not too long ago. Now, if you don't know what Manect is, you can text me. You can, if you have one question for me, it's kind of like being able to give me a super chat any time of day. But if you look at I think it's the third link down in the description here. But Manect will allow you to like text me. You can get a video reply. You can get an audio reply if you want to do any kind of like online counseling stuff. I'm going through Manect right now, so check that out. But I got a text from a guy asking me how to define mental point of origin. Right. And so it was a good opportunity to be able to sort of like rehash that out. And so when I'm talking about mental point of origin, it's not like being a self-centered prick. It's not being selfish, right? It's making yourself the first thing that jumps into your brain. Like, right? When you're faced with a decision, when you're faced with just like things that you need to do, things that you want to do. Yep. And so if you have like new data that comes into your brain, like you're the first person you consider before you consider anybody else, right? That's a whole lot different than like the Tony Robbins kind of bullshit where it's like, yeah, but think of yourself first. You got to make yourself number one. That's not what it means. What it means is really psychologically, mentally training yourself, conditioning yourself to make yourself the first thing that jumps into your head. That's not don't think about other people. It means think about yourself first and then think about other people.
Yeah, because
right?
there's no way. There's no way you can help other people unless you have helped yourself, right?
Exactly. And that goes with the concept of enlightened self-interest, which is you can't help others until you can help yourself, and you can't help others as well as when you help yourself first, right?
Yeah.
So it's always the concept of like, you know, when the stewardess tells you that the air mask is going to drop out if there's a decline in cabin pressure, right? You always put your mask on first before you help little Johnny or grandma put it on, because if you're dead, they're dead. Right? That's the I mean, it's bonehead stupid, but that's really the basic concept of enlightened self-interest. You have to help yourself first before you can help other people, because if you're dead, other people are dead, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a life or death situation. Now think about it in terms of like, well, am I going to take this job? Am I going to go to this college? Am I going to change my life for this chick? Or am I going to think about mommy first, my girlfriend first, my potential girlfriend first, my potential wife first? And too many guys end up sort of pre-cucking themselves or pre-whipping themselves, and they won't make decisions based on the fact that they're already thinking of people before the other people before themselves, which gets back to your point is we teach our boys to be defective girls these days. And part of that, or say the main part of that, is crushing out that mental point of origin that I think really, in boys in particular, I'm not saying that girls are very solipsistic, so they're already thinking about themselves and everybody kisses their ass from day one. But like I think what we do, at least in the last probably like 60 years or so, we've had this concentrated effort to socially re-engineer masculinity, and that starts at age 5 when the kid is this tall, and most of his teachers from preschool all the way up to around are going to be women.
Yep.
And so what are they going to do? They're going to teach him to defer to women, to defer to the authority of women, to want to be a pleaser of women, to think of women before they think of themselves, and to be a good provider, to be a servant leader, if you want to put it in religious terms and stuff. And so this just this complex of social engineering and behavioral conditioning. That's why I always refer to like if you're a blue pill, I always talk about blue pill in terms of conditioning, blue pill conditioning, as opposed to like alpha, beta, red pill, blue pill, whatever. And by the way, I think it might be time to like reestablish this, because I keep seeing people use this all the time. When I talk about alpha, and when I talk about beta, and when I talk about red pill, and when I talk about blue pill, I'm talking about them in specific instances that relate only to intersexual dynamics. Okay. I'm not talking about politics. I'm not talking about philosophy. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about, social studies and shit like that. I'm talking about one fucking thing. And yes, I understand that alpha and beta are indistinct terms. Like people can put whatever the fuck they want to. When I am using those terms, I'm using them as abstractions. They are placeholders for want of a better term.
Sure.
Too many people think, well, people don't really call scientists don't call them in alphas, and I just go with it, okay? Please, just for one fucking second. So I every now and then I have to reiterate that, because people will say, like, well, we'll probably talk about alphas and betas right now.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to set that out there, because too many people get too fucking confused. But so if I say, and like he was just saying, an alpha mindset, is it learnable or is it something that's teachable, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say both. Okay, so personality is actually there's genetic markers for personality. Okay, it is determined. Your personality and your proclivities and your propensities for certain things. If you're going to talk about like the big 5 personality traits: agreeableness, conscientiousness. I forget the other 3. But if you look at the big 5 personality traits, those are all directly linked to genetics or to genes expression, or multiple expressions of different small genes making a bigger difference, right? So with that in mind, then you've also got to take into consideration the environment, but the environment plays a much smaller role than actually your genetics. So can you be born an alpha? Sure. But you can be born an alpha and to a condition like we are now, where your teachers are all female and they want to psychologically condition you to repress that alphaness.
Yep. It's done on purpose, bro.
And it's done on purpose.
It's not
and
an
it's
accident.
hard to do for some and easier to do for others.
Yep.
But
I would agree with you on that, on those terms, is that when you have a child, children are innately selfish, right?
Yeah.
So
I know this firsthand because when my parents were together, so my parents were together until I was like 7, they got divorced. But when my parents were together, when I was in school for, when my parents were together for those like 3 years, whatever, I do just remember me like interacting with a lot of girls when I was little, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just not really giving a fuck. And a lot of girls always trying to talk to me, talk to my mom when she's picking me up, like, oh, I really like Logan. He's, whatever it may be, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was little. And then when my parents got divorced, I think slowly over time when I was living with my mom, because you're gonna go with your mom if your parents get divorced, it is what it is. I didn't have a choice. But yeah, so my mom moved to a different state and then she took me. And when I was living with my mom, like my ability to kind of interact with women went down, and my ability to maintain a little bit longer interactions with women went down, right? Because they had initial attraction. I was a good looking kid, right? I've always been. But a lot of these girls would lose attraction because I'd start simping or I'd start becoming weak. I didn't understand why. And I was always taking advice from my mom, right? And all this,
yeah.
And then when I was around 13, 14, I was like, yeah, I had the choice to go move back in with my dad. And so I was like, yeah, I want to go back to California, live with my dad. And everything started becoming way better, right? Like my interactions with women started becoming way better. My confidence started going up. My interactions with just people in general and business and making money just went up. So yeah, I mean, most guys who have that same experience where their parents got divorced, they started living with their mom, or they still are living with their mom. It's very obvious. And that's actually the first thing I ask guys when I'm coaching guys is, what was your parents' relationship like? Are your parents divorced? Are they together? Because I could easily figure out and because I know from firsthand this happened to me, so I understand that it is trainable and it is conditioned through your environment.
I get a lot of I see this a lot in the quote unquote manosphere now, and I put that in scare quotes because I don't even really know what to call it at this point. But when I'm seeing stuff, especially like from the more notorious people, like for Pearl, let's just say, where she's talking about how women raise worse children than single moms raise worse children than, and that's a statistical.
It's true.
I mean, if you go and you don't even have to go to, I was thinking not Richard Reeves. Oh, it's Dr. Warren Farrell. He has a book called The Boy Crisis. And say what you want about Dr. Farrell. I kind of like Dr. Farrell quite a bit. He was actually, if people say, well, when did you get red pilled, Rollo? It's like, it was a very slow, like, I don't think there was one incident that made me sort of red pill, but one book that sort of opened my eyes to a lot of things was something that Warren Farrell wrote way back in like the late 80s, early 90s. And it's like, people always think of his books as like The Myth of Male Power, which is a great book, but there's a book that came before that, and it's called Why Men Are the Way They Are. And that was the first time I ever read some guy saying, you know what, things aren't quite as like organized as women would like us to think, and it was really sort of the germ of the idea, I think, of the red pill and understanding like hypergamy and intersexual dynamics. Now, granted, it's Dr. Warren Farrell and his solutions are very feminist, right? But his observations and his statistics, very well done. And he's nothing else. He's a consummate statistician. So in The Boy Crisis, he says, hey, look, single fathers do better than single moms. And you can't argue with the stats. I get that. But I will also say this is like, I've said on several occasions that men and women are innate natural complements to one another. So if you have a conventionally female, feminine mother and you have a conventionally strong, conventionally masculine father, you have two models for femininity and for masculinity. And it's even better if you're like, if you're a male child and you have a female sister or something like that, there's that dynamic that's going on between the two of them as well. So they're like, I'll just give an example. My niece and my nephew, for example, they have a great understanding of sort of gender dynamics because my niece and my nephew would like play fight and beat each other up kind of thing. So my niece has a good understanding of male nature through her brother, and my nephew has a good understanding because of my niece. So there's that is, I would say, is a pretty much an advantage family wise. But when I see guys who are like I was raised by my dad. Like my parents split up when I don't think I've ever said this. My parents split up when I was 8 or 9 years old. Okay, I think
close to mine.
And so my mom was sort of this lovable ditz, and my dad was a very down to earth, very pragmatic, very like what Vox Day would call a delta male. He's like, just go in, do an honest day's work on honest day's pay kind of thing. Very rational, very analytical. And so I think that's where I kind of got, both sides of my personality. Well, at least encouraging some parts of my personality from the two of them. But I think that when you like, I've been given this sort of hypothetical before where guys will tell me, Roll, I want to be a single dad. Like if I could do no, seriously, they will say this, like they're coming out with birthing pods or something like that. I'm like, dude, come on. And or more practically, they'll say, I'm gonna find a surrogate mom. She's gonna be the egg. I'm gonna give her. I don't have to have sex with her, whatever. She'll be artificially inseminated, and she'll have my child. And I'm gonna pay her to do this, carry the child to term, and then I will adopt. It will be my child, right?
Okay, interesting.
Very rare. Like that's the thinking, right? Whether or not it actually happens, I doubt it, right? I mean, they probably just go fuck and then. I mean, that's usually the way. But
sounds cheaper.
It's a whole lot cheaper. It's much more efficient, but. Long story short, these guys wanted to be like voluntarily be single fathers. And I go, why would you? I will give you the same like tongue lashing I will give, a single mom, right? Especially if she wants to be, you're hobbling that child by eliminating a conventionally female influence in that child's life. And the same thing, like it's more common with women because women can just go have kids like, like breed like rabbits if they want to, right? They can go to a fertility clinic and voluntarily, electively become pregnant, right?
Yeah.
Or, was it 42% of children are born out of wedlock right now? Or you can go and get a sperm donor and, and go that way off the black market sperm market, I guess is what we call it. But I would say the same thing to them. I say, you're going to be sort of personality wise, you'll be hobbling that child. Now you might be a better parent than a woman, but you're still taking away that side or that understanding of the conventionally feminine from that kid in his upbringing. So I think it happens probably a whole lot more. It's much more rare because most guys can't get sole custody unless the woman is like a criminal, she's insane, she's in drugs, or she's dead, right?
That's the only it's an even battle when she's like that. It's fucking crazy.
So that's why I don't think you see that instance very often.
Yeah,
but I think you'd probably be doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
I got another good question here. Before birth control, the only women who were promiscuous yet childless were infertile women. I wonder if a man's lizard brain warns him of possible infertility when he learns of a woman's count. All right, good. Thank you for steering us back, Leslie. So as much as I would like to agree with that, I would have to say that I don't think that there's any sort of innate way for a guy to understand if a woman is quote unquote barren and trying to get pregnant. You have to remember that our concept, our social concept right now of body count and promiscuity, our understanding of promiscuity today is really defined by the last 60 years after hormonal birth control and the sexual revolution and everything that's come after it. So I was just made aware of this. I think it was on the Adam Sosnick show when I was out in Miami, and somebody said, and I don't know where I got this, it might have been a super chat, but somebody said that like the generation between like the sexual revolution, like my generation, Gen X, between the like 1965 when hormonal birth control was sort of popularized. I know it was introduced before that, but it was popularized around 1965 in Western cultures. Then you get the sexual revolution, and then you get all the social upheaval that happens as a result after that. And there, for a brief moment in time, from like say 1970 up until maybe the mid 90s, 95, maybe 2000, when the internet started to become more popular, there was a time where you would go to a club. I know because I did this, right? You would go to a club and you put yourself where the girls are. You put yourself into a situation where you're going to be at, like, for me, I was playing in bands, so I would go to these places, and you met women live in real time.
Yep.
And are we lagging? Okay.
The Matrix.
Am I lagging here? Yeah, it looks like we're lagging. I want it to catch up here. Hang on. Well, I'll continue and see if we can keep it going. Is it lagging? Maybe Sammy will tell us if it's lagging. Oh, there we go. I think is that better? It's not okay. Sam says it's not bad, so we'll just keep going. It's a little. So this is where maybe this is me, because I'm of this generation. I don't remember anything else. Like prior to the sexual revolution, we did dating, we did hooking up, we did whatever, much different than we did after the sexual revolution. So when you look at the social changes that happened, and this is like regarding body count here too, if you look at the social changes that happened after 1965, you get into the 70s, you get the disco era, Studio 54, and it's like, there's a sexual permissiveness that has never existed before in like human history, right? Now people will say, well, there's been free love movements like before this, and libertine movements before this, but not to the same extent as when we came up with an invention that effectively prevented pregnancy. And so now as a result, you've got women who divorce their husbands. The divorce rate skyrockets with it correlates almost directly with the increase in divorce. So the divorce increase goes with hormonal birth control usage. And so when I was growing up, when I was in, let's say the 80s, like the mid 80s, I never knew an era that wasn't about sexual permissiveness. Right? Everybody wants to get laid. Are you getting laid? Did you get your dick sucked? Did you get lucky? Those kind of things. You go to a club, you'd meet girls live in real time. There was no internet per se. There was no cell phones. You would go and put yourself out in a club and you would meet girls. And if you were good at it and you learned how to do it, you could get laid, right? It was like sort of a early, like a proto version of game, right? And you learn what works for you. And if you wanted to, that's why people say, well, Rolla, your notch count's 41, right? I'm like, and I did it in an era where I didn't have this and I didn't have any of this other shit. Yeah, you had to be good at what you're doing, like live in real time. And then I thought about it and I'm like, that's interesting, because the next generation, like we have like millennials and you have Generation Z, and they've never known an era prior to this where you could actually go and do something like that, and what the dynamics were of that sexual marketplace at that particular time. So for like the boomer generation, before, like the ones that came before me, were more about like, free love at Woodstock and shit like that. But they also came from families who were pre-sexual revolution, where mom and dad got together, and that's, it was much more traditional, like what we would consider, we think, or we romanticize as being more traditional. But the changes that were initiated as a result of hormonal birth control, like I take them for granted. And like you probably do too. And like the chicks we have on Access Vegas, the girls that are on whatever, the girls that are on Fresh and Fit, they don't know, like they don't know the history of it, but they don't know they don't know any different, right? So when we have these conversations about body count, I think it's an old conversation in a new era. So when people say, well, I don't want a girl with a lot of sexual partners, I think that's gross, blah, blah, it's immoral, it's this. We start adding more layers of like morality onto it. We layer on traditionalism. We layer on, well, this generational thing, like generational expectations and stuff like that. And it kind of gets convoluted. And that's why I kind of wanted to do this show today, because I keep seeing people throwing out, like even Andrew Wilson, who, he's making a good effort at it. And I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying it's incomplete. Sadia Khan, who doesn't have a fucking degree, also talks about this. We'll riff on this one video here in a second, but I think I'm not saying that she's necessarily wrong. I'm just saying it's not a complete understanding of why men are hesitant to get with a woman who has a higher body count, and why it is a big deal. And it's a bigger deal for this generation because they have a digital footprint now.
Well, I mean, I'm just look at any relationships. I've not seen any relationships last forever where the girl has slept with a lot of guys. Like, just look at it with your own two eyeballs. And they try to make you not even believe your own two eyes about a lot of shit. Look at girls on birth control. Their life decisions are fucking horrible. Like, it's very basic. I don't even need to know the stats. Like, the reason why I was just listening to with you, Michael, is I don't even know the stats. I don't know all the exact numbers and all the data. I just look at shit with my own two eyes, like, yeah, this is how it works. But I was just listening to you guys. You guys know all the fucking numbers and shit. I'm like, holy fuck, this is crazy.
I think it's funny. It's like Mike and I are planning to do this in case people are going to ask me in the chat anyways. In case you're wondering, yes, we're going to do me and Mike are going to do a reaction video to what was going on with Mooncat again. This dumb bitch. I already did a reaction. She debunked everybody in the red pill 2 years ago or 18 months ago, and I came out and did a reaction video to that. Now she's decided she's going to debunk evolutionary psychology. So, and everybody, like, it's funny because there's so many like Evo Psych guys who are now in the space that they see that and they think this bitch is like is in some way credible. She's really not. Just remember that. But it's I want to say it's almost at 1 million views right now, so it's almost like provoked a response, and not just from me and Mike, but from other guys like Steve Stewart Williams. I know Rob Henderson has been talking about this thing, and I don't know if they're coming out with any kind of reaction videos or anything like that to this, but Mike and I are actually going step by step and going point by point, and we're going to be doing a reaction video to her about this. But when I see guys that have the stats and everything else, we get kind of lost in the sauce when it comes to stats. And like Mike and I can talk about stats all fucking day long.
No, I think it's fantastic.
And we can, and then the thing is, it's not even so much about stats. It's like the connecting dots, making correlations from those stats. There's statistics, or there's experiment, there's research, there's statistics, and then there's interpreting all the data from all of that.
Yeah, you need all of it. Yeah.
So like where people get really upset is when you take other people's stats and everything, and you connect dots or you ask questions about those stats that they don't want. They either were unable or unwilling to do themselves. And then when some red pill guy comes along, they say, "Oh, they're bastardizing our stuff. They're corrupting our data. We never said this." Like, no, but you just never asked the fucking questions. We are, and you don't seem to want to have the conversations about those statistics that you presented that we're using. So
no, that's why I love your book, because like a lot of things, even with Corey Wayne's book and a lot of other books, is like I always knew, like I didn't really actually know like what worked and what didn't work. I just went through it. So I've gone through the heartbreaks. I've gone through simping. I've gone through when I was pimping chicks out, and I've gone through when I was fucking having a lot of fun with girls and being successful. But you never know why it works, and I think that's why your book is super fucking important, because you break down why it works and the reasoning for everything, and then you're like, oh shit, that's why that didn't work out. Oh shit, that's why that worked out. Let me do more of that. I think it's just a very simple playbook for guys.
And it's funny because like people expect me to give them like prescriptions. They expect me to. I'm not an advice giver. I'm an analyst for sure. I can analyze your situation. Like if I have somebody who wants to do a private counseling session with me, the first thing I say, and this is in every policy email that I send out to people, I am not a therapist. I am not a psychologist. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I don't pretend to be one. I have a degree in behavioral psychology and a degree in Bachelor of Fine Arts. Okay. Those are my 2 degrees. All right. Yeah. I can analyze your situation, but I'm not a clinical psychologist, and I'm not going to prescribe to you. And by the way, I do that out of professional courtesy for other people who actually do this stuff that are actually clinical psychologists. I'm not trying to do their job. All I'm doing is giving them an analysis of what I see going on when they tell me, here's my problem. Right. So when I'm putting that stuff out there, and again, I'm using the same stats that everybody else is using. I'm just drawing different conclusions. I'm just making different, correlations between those things. And guys tend to feel like I can articulate things a little bit better for stuff that they're going through at that time. So when I'm doing that, it's about like not telling them what to do. It's about like sort of saying, okay, here's what I see going on. What do you think you can do about this? What change do you think you can initiate in this? And then so from there they do their own advice at that point. All I do is point out the black and white data sets for them. But the problem is when you give people data and you give people stats and you do the research and you give them experiments and you don't tell them how to feel about it, that's when they hate you for it. All right. They absolutely hate you for it, because they think that just implying like you giving them that stats implies some sort of influence or some sort of advice, right? And I think that if you don't start from that as your base point or your point of origin, when you're people will understand. Look, I just work here, man. I'm just giving the fucking data, right? You do what you want to with that data. People think you're doing that so you can avoid like responsibility for like, giving them bad advice. It's like, no, you don't have to follow me or Tate or anybody else. I would rather you come up with your own prescriptions based on your new education and are equipped with this new knowledge. I don't see why that's a big fucking deal. But apparently it is, unless you have 12 rules for life or some sort of like, template for a good, a cure to a fix to their problem. So let's this one here. Rolo, I'm having trouble with my blue pill beta boss. They're working me out because I won't do any fraud corporate job. Looking for a new job. Any advice in the interim as they are trying to bait me into a fight?
Just like the military, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why?
Same shit.
Why?
Bro.
Why do you
Same
think?
shit.
I'll let you do this one.
I mean, here's the difference between being in the military and having a job. You could quit the job. You don't get you don't go to jail or some shit. What's interesting about the military, however, is you're actually trapped in a bubble. You have a contract for 4 years. You can't just leave the job. And what a lot of people don't understand is the reason why that boss enjoys that position is because he has power, he has control, he has leverage, even if he's a beta male simp. This is the only place, this is the only environment where he feels like he has power. It makes him feel good bitching people around because he gets bitched out at home. That's just the reality. The thing is, you actually have a little bit of wiggle room. You can actually go find a new job. You actually go work for someone that you actually fuck with, and be in a new environment, which is you have a better position than most guys in the military. Because in the military, bro, you literally have a contract where you cannot leave. And if you try to leave, you go to jail or you get dishonorable discharge or a bunch of drama, a bunch of bullshit that you do not want. It's worse than just you can't just walk out and quit. Okay. But it's the same thing. A lot of these guys in the military, a lot of higher ups who have higher rank than you are actually fucking simps. And it's a bubble to where this is the only place, and it's a bubble where it's the only place where these guys have power, they have leverage, they have control over others. And because here's the thing, in the real world, they don't. So when you're out in civilian world, you're out and interact with normal people, they get bitched around, they get treated like shit. And so when they're back in this bubble, that's where they have power, that's where they have the control. And that's also why a lot of these guys stay in, because it's the only place where they have. So they keep staying in the military for as long as they can, because it's the only place where they feel good, right? And any guy in the military who's successful and they're doing their own thing, and we talked about kind of like Dan Bilzerian too, you're going to get hated on. You're going to get shit on because you're doing exactly what they wish they could be doing. But instead of them talking shit and you could fight them back, or you could say some shit and you could roast them and you can have fun with it, you can't. You'll literally lose your pay. You can go to jail. You go to the brig. It's a very interesting, unique dynamic. It's like, it is actually super fucking weird. And a lot of people don't understand this, but a lot of guys in the military, I think you guys have seen this. If any military guy has seen it, and when we talk to Dan, when I talk to Dan at one point, he'll say the same shit to me and he'll agree, because it's just like that. And it's so fucking weird, but it's its own bubble to where it is what it is. And that's just the situation. I told you a little about it earlier, but it's fucking weird, man.
Yeah.
It's weird. And the military is more brainwashed more than ever, bro. They're woke as shit. And especially with me
I'm hearing that more and more these days too.
Bro, it's bad.
Well, I mean, the highest instance of self-deletion comes from military, right?
There you go.
In fact, this was as far back as when I wrote the second book. I dedicated the second book to veterans that were off. Well, we were almost on Memorial Days tomorrow, so we might as well get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I dedicated my second book to the men, was it 22 per day off themselves? They're either vets or they're enlisted, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, that is fucking. And then, I would say 90%, if not 100%, are male.
Yeah, right? I've known 3 guys who off themselves on base. Yeah, they're just fucking.
And then, and usually, of course, it's because they get zeroed out. It's because they were waiting for they go on deployment. The girl cheats on them. When
it's usually a girl.
They come back,
it's
and
usually
it's usually a girl thing.
Yep.
And that's and they can teach you to be a killer. They can teach you to be a soldier. They can. It's funny. I've talked to guys who were combat veterans. I mean, these guys who were, facing live rounds, right? They're going off on deployment. They're getting shot at, and they are more alpha on that battlefield than they are when they come back. And
weird.
Suddenly they have to do a 180 with their women.
It is so weird. Yeah. And I was questioning for the longest time, because I used to think these guys are total alpha male guys, but it's only in that one area of life where they have control and they have that in that bubble. And I mean, a lot of these guys have potential to be fucking straight up G's at home with their wives. But dude, you hear all the time, these guys are marrying strippers, they're simping for chicks, they're dating fat, ugly girls. But the military kind of compensates you for that. It's like, if you get married, now you get to live off base, you get a free house, and you get extra pay, and you get a little extra perks. So they kind of push it at the same time to to do these things. That's why you hear guys getting married and to strippers and other crazy hoes, because it's they kind of push for it, and it kind of makes you want to do that. And yeah, it's just a weird dynamic. Also, even being on deployment, being on a boat, you're not interacting with no bitches. All you have is phone, and everyone's just watching porn, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it puts you in this environment where it does kind of force you to do those things. And most of the guys that I know on base, they just either watch porn or they play video games, and it's very rare when I could find guys outside of that bubble who don't get stuck in that and actually explore and do things. But it's very difficult because you're only getting paid like fucking $2K a month, and you can't leave base unless you have a car. So how the fuck are you gonna go off base and go rizz up chicks and go game on chicks if you don't have a fucking car? And you can't bring girls back because you have a roommate. So it's all these things combined that just limit your ability to pull bitches, basically. In the simple terms of everything.
Pull hot chicks.
Yeah,
exactly. And I just to give people some information, you are still enlisted. You are still in. You're for another year.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't tell her. I won't say nothing. I'll leave it at that.
Gotta keep it secret.
So just so you know, this is like what's funny is like people give me shit because they're like, oh, that Rolo guy, he's a grandpa, he's old. Why are you even talking to him? He's too old. I'm like, I don't know how old I am these days. People are like, every time somebody gives me shit, I'm like 65. Oh, now you're 85. Now I'm fucking 105. I don't know what the fuck it is, right? But how old are you?
I'm 21. I'm
21. Okay, yeah. So people give you shit because you're too young.
Yeah,
right? He doesn't have any experience. He doesn't have any life experience.
Yeah, and the thing is, like,
Logan don't pull no chin.
I mean, you're on my close friend story.
Pull no hose, man.
You're on my close friend story, so you see everything. And anyone who's on my close friend story, they know. Anyone who went to high school with me, they know. It's like, they laugh at this shit when people say shit like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think really age matters. I think it's like not wisdom and knowledge comes from experience, and also experience from other people. So I've experienced a lot of the same shit that any other guy's gone through. And then not only that, but I've learned from guys who are twice my age, Coach Corey Wayne, guys who are way older than me. So I take their knowledge and I learn from it. Like, I don't have to be retarded and go through every single thing that you've gone through. I don't have to live as old as you to learn this stuff. That's just retarded. Why can't I just learn this shit now? It's like, I already know this stuff. So it just makes more sense to just learn this shit now. Take advice from
you have an
older
advantage
mentors.
too, because at your age you have a huge advantage, because I'll tell you right now, nothing like this existed when I was 21.
Yeah, it's an actual superpower. Like, any guy who can understand this stuff and get over that fucking brainwashing or their ego or their feelings of, oh, I don't want to be misogynistic or toxic or an asshole. It's like, bro, stop being a pussy. Know this shit and you'll be better off in life. And just look at the guys who are doing this as living proof. And that's just how I like to look at things. Like, a lot of people are kind of brainwashed to listen to people of authority, doctors, teachers, politicians, and all these other people or females, right? Because they're told to. But it's like, do I want to be like these people? Not really. I don't want to be a single mom or listen to a fucking English teacher. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be a cuck. I don't want to be a simp. And then that's the simple thing is, like, when you try to listen to people who are living the lifestyle you want, they hate on you. I want to be like Andrew Tate. I want to be like you. I want to be like Corey Wayne. I want to be like these guys. And then they hate on you for doing that, or they ban you guys, or they suppress you guys.
Oh, they put you on a DHS watch list.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly. Now you're domestic fucking terrorist. So it's like, bro, like, and that's the reality that we're going to, bro. It's fucked.
Yeah. That's the way we're leaning these days too. I was going to say is like, you do martial arts, right?
Yeah, I do jiu-jitsu and wrestling. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you know this, like, well, I do Kali, but so like one of the things like they used to do anyway. It's not they still do it now, but like if they would mix like older students with younger students, like you got a white belt and you got a black belt, right? And they would do that because they want the white belt to see the black belt too, obviously. But they also do it so that, like, say the in between ranks and maybe even the black belts, right, can still learn. I mean, this is a concept anyways, can still learn something from the white belt, right? Because if you put that white belt in like a fight with something and they think of something as spontaneously on the
unorthodox,
I never thought about that, right? You could be a black belt and still learn something from a white belt.
Doesn't mean you're gonna win.
Yeah, you probably still get your ass handed to you. But yeah, I mean, but still, I mean, that's the concept. The philosophy is even the experts are still the students. Like even the black belt is still a student, because you're looking at this and you're still trying to teach the white belt, right?
Yeah.
But there's still the possibility anyways that there's something that comes out, something novel and new comes out of a guy who's completely inexperienced. When I used to fence competitively, but they used to say that, like, my teachers, I just do it for sport right now, but like my teachers my fencing instructors would say the same thing. They would say the thing that gets me, or the thing that's most dangerous, is like an inexperienced, like a newbie that comes into it, because they're not as controlled, right? They don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? So you're worried that they're going to injure themselves.
Yeah, they don't understand the art,
but they come up with something that you weren't expecting because they don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? So I look at it in really learning anything, like whether it's art or it's mathematics, it could be anything, right? In this case, we're talking about like intersectional dynamics and coaching and doing all this other stuff that you do and the the work that I do. I still will do shows with people who have like 900 subs, just because there's a potential to have a good conversation there. And maybe I learn something from it. And maybe what I take away from that ends up in one of my books.
And when I have millions of followers, I'm going to shout you the fuck out. And even when you're gone or whatever happens to you, I'm still going to be promoting all you guys. Like I'm all your guys's. Yeah, you guys are my mentors, and I'm going to shout you guys out forever. And that's how you kind of live forever through other people.
Your legacy lives on in other people.
Yeah, exactly.
I got that. Somebody was saying, like, they were talking about like, oh, if you don't have any kids, you don't have any legacy. That's the way you're gonna have a legacy.
No, bro, you're like a dad to everyone who fucking watches this shit, bro.
I'm like, I have a child, so my daughter's 26, so I'm not too worried about like my biological legacy at this point. My brother has a son and a daughter. I'm not worried about carrying on the family name. I'm more concerned with like my body of work. It's because I look at it this way, is like, but at the end of your life, it's not going to be like the accolades you have. It's not the trophies on your shelf or anything like that. It's going to be your entire body of work. Yeah, that's really what your legacy. What are you leaving behind? That is more than just like everybody has kids. I mean, like people in third world undeveloped countries have children. Okay, so to say that's your only lasting legacy, get the fuck out of here. Okay, that's basically you coping to say, oh well, I can't live like them, so we got to have kids, so that'll make me. That in some way will reaffirm why I'm doing what I'm doing. More power to you, and please have children. But the thing is if we're going to talk about legacy, it's like leaving it behind to inspire other people to do stuff. Yeah. So when people will come at me and they'll say, well, Mike Sartain is really he's really a hot commodity right now. I'm like, good. I hope so. Like or he's gonna outshine the master or something like that. I'm like, first of all, I'm happy you think I'm a master. But the other thing is like, I can't think of a better person to hand the torch to than Mike. Quite honestly, you think you're insulting me. You're not insulting me. You're insulting Mike because you think that I'm a has-been and he's like that. He's basically playing my understudy. I don't think of it in those terms. I don't think of you as an understudy either. It's just people like coming together, sharing notes, and if my legacy helps you, and there's going to be guys that come after you. Yeah, there is. Yeah, I have guys who are like 15 who are learning. And again, it's not even just like particular to me. It could be about anything. Like what is your art? What is your science? What is your contribution to humanity? And that's one of the things that's great. I think that's unique to human beings is we have the ability to use a computer. We have ability to use microphones and video stuff. And everything in here was built by somebody who came before us, who came before them, who came before them. And it's this acquired, accumulated knowledge. And I don't think enough people really realize that the only way we're even able to like sort of consider these concepts is because those people came before us and they had other concepts that we built upon, and then people will come and build upon our stuff too. Good. I hope so.
And I've talked to Corey about this as well. Because a lot of guys at my age don't want to listen to you or Corey because like, oh, they're old guys. I don't know what they're talking about. And it's hilarious because I understand. I know that because it fucking works. I listen to you guys, I apply it, and it works, right? And so when I'm teaching it, they're like, oh, I want to listen to this kid because he's around my age or he's a little bit older than me. So now I have guys who are 18, 16, 17 years old who are learning from me just because they don't want to learn from you guys. And I'm very open and honest. I'm like, bro, read this book, read this book, read this book. And they'll read it and stuff, but like, but I still want to listen to you. It's like, why? Like, because you're similar to my age. You're similar to like my experiences.
What you say resonates because I hate thinking in terms. I think maybe this is something that's slowly getting like pushed out in the 21st century, but I think we need to get past this idea of thinking generationally. So, I mean, yeah, the Zoomer generation is the way it is. Millennials, yes, there are certain attributes, certain things that characterize Gen X. I'm Gen X, right? Okay, boomer, that kind of shit. I think at some point we're going to stop thinking generationally because I'm 10 years older than Mike. Mike is 10 years older than Justin Waller or Sterling Cooper, right? Yeah. And then you're probably you're 10 years, but you're almost 10 years younger than Sterling, right? Yeah. And we can still sit in the same room in the same podcast, and we can still have an intelligent conversation about stuff, even if you don't have the same depth of knowledge that I do. At least you can come and bring something to the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's the truth. I mean, it's simply the truth. I mean, a lot of people are going to say, oh, but you guys are all saying similar things or the same shit. It's like, it's the truth, bro. Nothing is new under the sun. The truth is always going to be known or shared or found the fuck out because you see the truth through your own two eyeballs. They might say it differently. They might experience it differently, but at the end of the day, it's the truth and it's what works.
And so then if you're going to talk about like, your interpretations of that truth,
Mm-hmm.
your interpretations of the data, like I said before, research data, experiments, stuff like that. What are your interpretations of that? My interpretations of that are going to be through the filter of being 56 years old and writing 5 books up to this point and being involved in this, this space for the last 23 years, right? Your interpretation is going to be from a 21-year-old guy who is in the military, who's gone through what you've gone through with your parents as well and everything else. And that might resonate better for that particular your peer group, let's just say.
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad you brought that up, because right now through MOA, I'm working with my good friend Joe Marin, and we're doing a program that's kind of like a branch off. We're partnering with MOA to talk directly to guys who are between the ages of 45 and 65 years old, because that's a completely underserved market or demographic, let's just say, I think, in the manosphere. So there's a lot of guys who want to come to Vegas and they're young and like, let's go to Sapphire, let's go to fucking Omnia, let's go to Zook, right? And they love that shit, and that's gonna, and I like it too. I love going to Zook. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Zook. But there's guys who are just going to be like, like the Jason Hartmans of the world, who was got probably worth $500 million, never been married, and wants to go out, wants to find a chick, but he's not going to find that chick in Zook, right? And I get that. So from that demographic, 45 to 65, which, by the way, is the prime demographic for self-deletion. And the guys who come out of divorce is also prime demographic for first divorce, 45 years old. And guys are 8 times more likely to self-delete after a divorce. Well, who's there to sort of say, hey, you've been zeroed out, but it's not as bad as it seems.
Yep.
Who's there to help these guys? Well, that's at least the mission statement. That's the impetus that Joe Marin and I are using. So very similar to what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's going to be guys in your age cohort that are going to want to listen to what you have because it resonates with them. Whereas like for me and Joe, it might be 45 to 65.
Yeah.
Like I counseled Robert Kiyosaki when he was going through his divorce with Kim. I consider him a really good friend. It's been almost like 4 or 5 years now. So, but there's nothing else that was going on that he could sort of relate with, but he could relate to my book because fortunately he had friends who've had read my book before. So, and it started a really good relationship and really good friendship with Robert. I don't charge him anything. I just talk to him like a friend now. So, but I think you're right. I think there needs to be some sort of interpreting the data is going to be the data. Yeah. And the truth is going to be the truth. How you're going to interpret that and how you're going to read that is really kind of like, you're going to read it through your eyes. I'm going to read it through mine.
Yep.
So, let's get these real quick. Will you be adding more content to Spotify? Yes, I will. Actually, I just pushed I just re-upped my Anchor account and transitioned it from Anchor, because Anchor is no longer a thing. It's now on Spotify.
Podcast, yeah.
So I have a Spotify podcast as of, this week, actually, I think is when I did it. So yes, I'll be pushing more audio podcasts over to Spotify right now. Spotify wants me to do like video, wants me to do this on there too. Maybe someday I will.
No, it's good. I do as well.
I do audio on there. So
yeah, they promote the fuck out of my podcast on the homepage.
Yeah. So
it's nice.
So thank you for asking, Israel, because I just now pushed it over just this last week. So Anchor is no more, but I even changed the link. If you look in the description for the audio podcast, it's now Spotify.
Nice.
So be sure to check that out. Also, if you like audio stuff, I do have a Substack, which is really growing like exponentially these days, and I'm happy to say it is. I'm writing a lot more on Substack right now. It's a subscription-based thing. It's not that much. It's only like $9.99, I think, for a month, or $10 a month. So if that's what you want to pay, and then it's like I make it $90 a year, so you get like $20 off if you do a yearly. So I try to make it affordable. I'm just trying to build up a more of a subscribership base on it. But if you think I shit post on Twitter, if you think I'm just on there to fuck with people on Twitter, you're right. Basically what I do. But for the serious stuff, for like nuts and bolts, you'll find all of that. I'm dead ass serious on my Substack. That's all I do is just serious nuts and bolts stuff on my Substack. It's dedicated to that. I'm still doing stuff. I'm still considering, the Rational Male, my WordPress blog is still up. It's still available. You can still read the old material on there, but I'm moving mostly over to Substack these days. So that's going on. And then as I said before, I'm now on Minect as well too. So if you want to have that interaction, but Substack is really great. And speaking of audio podcasts, Substack is now sort of expanding into audio. And so I will probably not be doing this kind of stuff, but I might be doing like dedicated podcasts, like maybe like a 30-minute thing where I'm talking about an article that I've done. So just because I want to.
Yeah.
And they're also Substack is also wanting to like host video stuff like this too. So Substack's actually turning into a substantial thing, and I really like it. What do you got here? The best way to handle what is the best way to handle a rude girl while cold approaching? Usually I'm just the guy to smile and walk away. This week I called one a bitch. Too far. What do you think?
Yeah, bro. You could tell right away when how the girl says her name, right? When you say, "What's your name?" and she says, "Oh, it's Ashley." Like the way that she says her name, I'm literally gonna say, "Oh, that's a boring name," and I'm gonna tease her about it, and I'm gonna ask her friend, "Well, what's your name?" and she's like, "Oh, my name is this." "Oh, that name sounds way better." Right? And I'm just gonna tease her about the fact about how she says her name. I can tell right off the bat, is she interested or not, and the tonality and everything. I mean, you can tell by the eye contact and stuff, but obviously, if she says her name, "Oh, my name is Ashley," it's like, "Oh, of course your name is Ashley." What's your name? You need to go talk to her friend. Right?
Another Ashley. You think it's funny. You could lead into some like really, really good games with that. You know, it's funny between the years of like 2001 and 2009, there was this rash of parents naming their daughters Ashley. It's the weirdest thing.
Oh, you sure it's not Emily? Yeah.
So first off, cold approach is I'm gonna go Mike Sartain on you. Cold approach is probably the most inefficient like way to get with chicks, but I'm not saying it's not a good technique. I mean, for guys who are extroverted and guys who are good and well versed in game, yeah, you can do. Yeah, I don't have a problem with direct approach, but I think that there's probably better ways for guys who are starting out.
Yeah, there's way easier ways. More for like, dude, you go on Tinder and you can just be swiping, but I think it's just like the XP that you get from walking up, talking to a chick, and then the feeling it gives you. Like I just do it for myself, to be honest.
Yeah, well,
like it's more fun.
So here's the thing: as I get is like it's approach anxiety is number one. But clearly, the guys, if he's approaching already, then he's already over that. So I think cold approach, you have to be definitely extroverted enough to be able to initiate a conversation.
True.
I wouldn't start with, "Hey, what's your name?"
Yeah,
I would start with something else, like lead into a conversation, like start a conversation in the middle of the story.
Yep.
And that I think that's probably one of the better ways to go about that. And then it's like instantly, assume familiarity, right? So like, "Oh, hey," or God, this is really bad. I'm not saying do this. You guys are going to be, "Oh, that's cringe." Okay, but like there used to be this old pickup artist technique. It was back in the 2000s, where you would call a girl like by any name, like her name's Ashley, right? But you go, "Hey, Michelle, that was a great show we saw," and like presume like them, like she's like, "Where's Michelle? I'm not Michelle." Like, but that, "Oh, God damn it, you look like this girl I saw last week. What is your name?" Like lead in with that kind of stuff as sort of like a mistaken identity as an intro. Used to be like that used to be one of the best openers that there was.
Yeah.
But again, that's cold approach. Mike will tell you it's social circle game and leading into like social proof and pre-selection.
Yep. Building a lifestyle.
Yep. Yeah, building a lifestyle. Exactly. What's this one? Rational Agent 47. From my perspective, is body just a higher amount of tested flavors, and humans will always look back and remember the experience that gave them the highest dopamine hit. The behavior is human, and that is also the topic of Alpha Widow. Thank you for bringing up exactly where I was going with body count today. What a perfect segue. Thank you, Rational Agent. So let me thank since he sort of course corrected for us here. I wanted to throw out a few things, and we watched these videos just a minute ago about body count. And let me just state for the record right now, the reason I pulled all those ones off of whatever podcast is because I did a net scrape for body count before I did this show. Okay. Yeah. What do you think the number one show comes up when you're like, doing,
bro, that's the topic that got me canceled.
Was it with body count? Yeah. So by the way, on no other podcast on planet fucking, and even in excess of like Fresh and Fit, who by the way, probably started the trend, but the number one topic on whatever podcast is always body count. Everybody comes back to it. In fact, when I was titling today's show body count, I felt a little weird about putting it on there because it's so cliche and everyone's been doing it. And it's just like, oh, fuck, body count again. I hate even bringing it up when I'm on Access Vegas because I think the girls even expect it now. Even girls who don't know anything about the red pill, they expect that question. Right? Because it's just on TikTok, they've probably seen a million other TikTok videos. Don't have to see our show. It could be anywhere else.
Yeah.
So body count is overdone. Okay, I get it. But the reason why I'm doing this today is because I don't think it's complete. I don't think enough people really realize why body count is a big deal. Now, in every single one of these shows, I've already got a list right here on my list. The first thing everybody says, like Melina said, is that, well, guys are insecure. That's why they ask about it. If you were secure, you wouldn't ask about it. You wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, where does that security come from? Or why is that the go-to answer for women? Because it sounds like it's shaming. Okay. Now, one guy on whatever podcast was saying, well, yeah, I'm insecure. So what? So the fuck what? You know, am I not right in being insecure about a woman who is, the town bicycle, right?
Yep.
Now, if you look at his response to that one girl who was saying insecure, and then you look at Melina's response to Jedediah Bila talking about, well, it seems so insecure, it seems so transactional, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, because the problem with body count is not that it's some social thing. It's not even about insecurity. It's about biology is what it is. It's an evolutionary adaptation for guys to be hesitant to want to get with a woman who is available to everyone.
It's a liability, bro.
It could be a liability. Well, in our evolutionary past, it was definitely a liability, or could be, because what it meant was that woman is a bad bet for your paternity. You don't know that the baby that comes out of that womb is going to be your kid.
Yeah.
So you don't know. And
well, not just that. It's like these girls are going to cause a bunch of drama in your life, bro. You're going to be worried if like she's still hooked on her ex or another dude's on the picture.
And that's where I was going.
And it's going to take time away from your business, your life, hanging out with the boys and doing good shit. And it's just like when your mind is occupied on a girl, like every other aspect of your life goes down. And that's literally why like I charge a lot for coaching with guys, because especially if they make a lot of money, because I'm helping them save a lot of money and make a lot of money as well. Like every single dude that I coach makes more money. And even if it's just about girls, because I help them free up time worrying about some bitch who is either a hoe, she's not respecting them, or she's not valuing them. And it's just like, bro, when the guys are happier, they're in a better state, like you'll make more money. And that's what I've noticed for myself as well. You just do better, you perform better, you interact with people better, you show up better in life. So yeah.
I was gonna say is like when guys ask me, like when they're asking me for advice, and they say, well, what can this generation do to sort of like get back on their feet? The first thing I tell them is like, get off your fucking sedations.
Yep.
Like seriously, have some real insight and say, what is slowing me down? What is keeping me in the fucking quicksand, in the tar pit, right? What is holding me down? Well, 9 times out of 10 it's porn.
Yep.
Or it could be
games.
prescription opioids, or it could be weed, or it could be alcohol, or it could be video games, or whatever is sedating you. Get rid of that sedation. And sometimes that sedation is an overdependence or a over preoccupation with women. Right.
Yep.
So like just what you're saying before. So if that's all if that is what is delaying you or making you slower as a human being, then find a way to get rid of that so that you can be more productive. Now, I'll explain something. I don't drink, and I have not been drinking. I've not drank since 2017.
Awesome.
And the reason why I never had a DUI, never had a problem with alcohol. I just simply wanted to stop drinking because I needed to finish the 4th book. And I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to drink until I finish I published the 4th book, which was Religion. And it was very intense because it took 3 years of my life to do the research for it, to do all the interviews I had to for it, because I knew I had to be bulletproof on that. It is the most well-cited, sources-cited book that I've ever written in my life. And it was all new material, and it took a long time to do. And I knew I had to do that. And I couldn't do that if I was recovering from drinking on a Friday. Saturday I'm hungover, Sunday I'm kind of like half awake, and then I got to go back at it again on Monday. I just hated that cycle. It's not that I don't like to drink. I please drink more. I still have I still get residuals from my 2 brands of alcohol that I have an ownership stake in. Please do have a good time. I'm not against alcohol, but if alcohol is what is sedating you to the point where you're a less productive human being as a result of that, then that's what you got to get rid of. And that's what I did back in 2017. Then, of course, it took me 3 years to finish the book. And so 3 years later, I'm like, oh, it's 2021. Now I can throw out the I can go and have a drink. And then I realize I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because I'm more effective doing what I do by not drinking than I would if I was drinking. And so I just simply didn't get back into the habit, and I was just done with it. And as a result, I'm much more productive about it. And now what's funny is what you were saying before is you get more time. You get more time back to you. So all the time you would spend drinking, all the time you would spend fucking around, all the time you would spend like recovering from that. What are you going to do with that time?
Yep.
Write another book, do something creative, start a podcast,
help people.
Yeah. Read a good book, help people, whatever it is with that time. Because now you've been given back more time because it was being robbed from you because of your sedations. Now that's just alcohol. It could be porn. Because guys will sit there and jerk off 3 or 4 times a day, and it takes them an hour to rub one out or whatever the fuck it is, right? Think of what you could do with that fucking time, man.
Yeah, bro. Like for me, is like, remember when I told you, like, I mean, a lot of guys who know me, like, dude, I had Tinder when I was like 16 years old. It was a gift and a curse, bro, because it was the perfect time when Tinder was literally the most effective. At 16 years old, I had over like 300 matches on my first account.
Wow.
And it's a gift and a curse.
Were they all old gay men?
No, they were all like chicks who were like seniors in college, bro. And it was fucking hilarious. I had girls like picking me up from school. And I think I've told you about this.
Yeah.
Girls way older than me picking me up from school in like their dad's car, nice cars, and all that shit. It was just fucking hilarious. And all of my guy friends, we all treated like it was like a game at some point. It was like, okay, the goal is to get 7 different girls this week or some shit for each day of the week. As a sophomore, it's like, that took up a lot of my time, and literally I was kind of like sedated by that too, because I was having a bunch of chicks coming over, and I'd be in. The thing is, a lot of these hoes, they like to stay up late as fuck, so they're not coming over until like 11 p.m. 12 a.m. and I'd be losing fucking sleep the entire night and being tired as shit trying to go to school the next day. And it's just like, that was like my type of sedation. Like, yeah, it is dangerous because it was a gift and a curse. It's like, yeah, it's enjoyable, it's fun, you get to flex it to your guy friends, it's cool, whatever, but it's like you're losing on so much time, your energy, and like your seed, bro. Like it's actual like gold. It's actual like valuable energy, bro.
I look at it this way. Like I think a lot of guys if they're addicted to porn, like their sleep, like people keep saying, "Oh, it rewires your brain, man." Well, whatever. We can debate that. I think what happens is like you lose sleep, is what you do. It's like if you're doing it 2 or 3 times a day, and like it's at nighttime and you're going to bed at like fucking 2 a.m. because you're too busy stroking off, whatever. Now you got 4 hours of sleep, and it fucks with your sleep schedule on top of that. So like I think that's one thing that guys can certainly do, is give up on that, give up on fucking alcohol. I mean, even just do it for a little while. Say, you know what, I got a project that I want to try. I want to see if I can do better at this. So for the next year, I'm not gonna jerk off. I mean, I'll fuck chicks, but I'm not gonna fucking jerk off. And I'm not a no-fap guy, right? I don't see it as like some sort of like, oh, it's your vital essence or like some sort of, your chi or some shit like that. But there is like a psychological element that goes along with that. And then there's then you're getting time back, and you're getting fucking your sleep time back. And then if you're not drinking, you're not fucking recovering all the time. And I will tell you this, man, I can tell you from experience, if being the only sober guy in the club at 2 a.m. is like a fucking superpower.
It is, bro. Yeah. Because
they're like, hey, where's my car? Like, you're like, oh, thank you, Superman, for helping me. Like, no, I'm the sober one. You're just fucking fucked up right now. God, nothing fucking annoys me more than like, I mean, and mea culpa on this too, but nothing annoys me more than like when Myron Gaines is trying to have a intellectual conversation with these chicks who start out pretty good. In the beginning of the show, they're having a conversation back and forth. Yeah. And Myron's throwing out his best shit, because an hour and a half in, that chick is like now 3 or 4 White Claws into the show. And she's like,
I don't know how they do it, bro.
And one thing that kills me is like, you're still trying to have the same conversation you did an hour ago with this chick who is visibly drunk right now. It's like, you're not going anywhere with this. And it's,
that's why the night, I mean, I just went to the club yesterday, just because it's celebrating my birthday, but I avoid the clubs. I don't like the night game stuff. I prefer talking to girls I meet at like the grocery store, or the library, or at the mall, whatever. And just because it's the type of girls and their lifestyle is just, I don't like talking to these girls who are like that. The girls who are like all fake and fucking drinking, or I'm gonna go see this guy, this DJ is playing here. I don't like those girls, bro. And it's just, some guys like that stuff. I'm just not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of the night
I think
game.
you kind of have to take it. I think you have to have expectations for like if there's a very attractive girl and she's like a club girl or something like that, you have to know this is a club girl.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think enough guys will really have the sexual abundance to say, okay, I can deal with that because I've got 4 other girls that I don't have to deal with that with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'm thinking that, you know, if you're not going to marry this chick, but like, if you like, hey, I want to get with this chick, I want to see how she is in bed, blah, blah, blah. That's one thing. And there's one set of expectations, and there's a lot of strategies and game that you use in that situation. Whereas if you're looking for if you're looking for a woman who's not like that, who's a little bit easier to deal with because you met her in a grocery store or Barnes and Noble or some shit.
Well,
like
yeah.
that,
Also, I'm just
that's a different set of like criteria.
Well, a lot of my girlfriends now, they help with like my business and creating content. I have my girlfriends, they edit my videos, they post my videos, they do all that stuff. They help me. They cook, they clean, they fucking do the laundry, they make my bed, they clean the room. Like, they help out a lot. They save me time. Like, I'd rather have those assets for sure rather than a girl that's gonna waste my time for sex. It's like, because I can have sex with this girl, I give this girl sex whenever the fuck I want. I don't need to waste hours in the club with this girl because she's a bottle girl, she's hot, whatever it may be. Is like, I'm looking more for assets.
In that case, you're like wasting your time.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
So you don't want to waste your time.
Yeah.
And I understand. I completely can appreciate.
And I think most guys, like, they need to have that mission purpose. They need to know. And I think having a mission purpose that's tied to helping people really like set me on track for sure. And I think it set anyone on track who's helping other people, or you make helping other people your priority. It really keeps you disciplined. And I talked to some guys. I bought a house and I moved a bunch of guys into it. And I'm kind of mentoring them as well. And, you know, the biggest thing that I was trying to show them is like helping other people is going to help yourself. And I think you also learn more through coaching. And it's a very simple thing. You'll learn a lot through coaching people. And not only that, but you will become more disciplined through that. And maybe you do have to have a kid to take your life more seriously. I mean, we know guys in this space, I'm not going to say names, who have kids, and they had kids when they were broke. But guess what? They started making more money. It pushed them.
They kind of have to make more money at that.
Exactly. You have to, but they became more successful. I'm not saying you have to do that. Don't do that. I'm not suggesting that.
So I always, exactly.
Yeah.
But like I think that like when it comes to having kids, like when I had my kid, it was just like, was the natural progression. It's just what we were going to do.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't say, oh, we need to have more money, we need to do this. Like, I didn't make a fraction of what I make right now when I have my child.
Yeah.
So if I was going to wait until I was like, financially secure and everything, I'd be like 45, 50 years old. Right.
Yeah.
But I was well off enough and I was set enough that I was like, okay, I think I can pull this off. Right. And I love it when people say, well, married men they make more money than single men. Like, well, yeah, because statistically they have to make more money, because if they don't, they're no longer married.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part and part. And I don't know why this is like rocket science to these guys, but that's why.
Yeah.
And so I always look at it this way. It's like, if you're going to get married, if you're going to have kids, if you want to start a family, that's a lifestyle choice. And if a guy wants to stay single, if he wants to be Mike Sartain and he wants to like build his empire and he doesn't have any kids and he's never been married or any of this other stuff, that's a lifestyle choice. That's what he wants to do. And he's very effective at it and he does a good job doing it. Right. So it's not that one is less valid than the other. It's just that are you a success in either one of those scenarios? Like, I have a kid. I have been married for 27 and a half, almost 28 years now. A lot of people will say, they'll disqualify me for that because they'll say, oh, you're married, you don't know anything about this, blah, blah, blah. Or else then I'll listen to Matt Walsh talk about like, well, you can't talk about relationships unless you're married, unless you have kids, unless you have, he completely, what's funny to me is like, I think Matt Walsh has a love-hate relationship with Pearl because like he'll throw shit at her all the time for her opinions and stuff like that. And then because like she's the most useful tool he's got, but then he'll go and say, well, I don't know why anybody would take advice. I got to put a beard on. I don't know why anybody would take advice from a person who, for life choices and marriage advice and parenting from a woman who isn't married and doesn't have kids. Right. Okay. Well, maybe you got a valid point there, but that's the thing is like, this is like, that's a lifestyle choice. That's your lifestyle choice. This is my lifestyle choice. Yep. People think I'm a failure because I only had one kid. You didn't have 10? Oh, dude, you're going to hell. You're seriously, you're not going. The Lord won't let you into heaven because you didn't repopulate the earth. Get the fuck out of here. Or I enjoy having sex with my wife, and you know what? We have non-reproductive. So we had great non-reproductive sex last night. I know that's too much information for you. Fan-fucking-tastic. Enjoyed every fucking minute of it. You know what? I have nothing but high praises for my wife, right? Because I was just like, but oh, you did it for non-reproductive reasons, like. We're not going to have, trust me, we ain't having any more kids, but we still enjoy each other. So I don't see why that's a big deal. But the thing is like, it's all comes back down to like, what's your lifestyle choice and where you want to go with that. And so somebody's lifestyle choice, if you look at like, people give me this fucking all the time. They'll look at Dan Bilzerian. They'll have a picture of Dan Bilzerian with all his chicks. Like he's on a yacht somewhere and he's got like 4 chicks on one side, 4 chicks on the other, and they are fucking top shelf chicks, right? And people will go, this isn't success. This is, and then I'll show like a woman who's got like 5 kids, and then she's showing her positive pregnancy test for the 6th kid, and they're all like these perfect little white Anglo-Saxon blonde, you know, master A blue eyes, you know, get children and stuff, and like this is success, and it's like, no, that's a lifestyle choice, and that's a lifestyle choice, and you know what? If you want to say that's success, more power to you. But you know what? Dan Bilzerian is pretty fucking successful. I met the dude. The dude is fucking successful. Okay. So it just kind of depends on what the context is that you're putting into. I got this other one here. Have you noticed that guy? Notice how blue pilled most MA guys are? Is that martial arts? I don't know what MA means. I don't think it's martial arts. I couldn't tell you if that's what you meant, martial arts. Corey's book is beta game. Turn off TV and pay attention to girlfriend and cuckold and cuckoldry. No balls to change his shit. All girls agree he runs beta game, and I'm probably pretty sure I'd agree with that. But I think it's funny. It's like I've noticed a change in like Corey is one of these guys who like he's been coming at me, and I've just been kind of ignoring it. I don't really. It's like if anybody wants to like restart their career, it's like just go give Rolo shit. Right.
I think his book is a great beginner's.
I don't know enough about it to really have an opinion. That's why I just have kind of stayed out of it, because every now and then people will show, hey, you know, Corey's talking shit about you. I'm like.
Even for me,
a lot of people talk shit about it.
Yeah, when I went on the show, I was like, I was the extreme one compared to Corey. Like I was the one that was like the one saying crazy shit and doing crazy shit to the chicks that are on the podcast. So I mean, even like I've kind of, I'm not gonna say I grew out of it, but yeah, I mean I've learned other things. I've kind of figured out my own way of living and how I like to do things and how I like to say things, I guess. And you know, I love Corey Wayne, and he's helped me out a lot. But you know, everyone's different. I think like the mentee and the mentor. You know, you can't be the. I guess I don't know. It's different, but you kind of have. I think it talks about in the book Mastery by Robert Greene. At one point, you know, you kind of have to branch off and do your own thing. Oh yeah, right. Yeah. And so that's kind of where I'm at that level.
That's good.
Yeah,
I think a lot of guys who got into this space like early on, like I've been part of this. I've been doing this for 23 years now. I've seen Corey Wayne. I've seen Roosh. I've seen Royce. I've seen all the Dalrock. I've seen all these guys who are like the old school guys, and I've outlasted every one of them up to this point. But like what I see happen, like Tucker Max, for example. Tucker Max was just on Tucker Max and Tucker Carlson, right? He was just on Tucker Carlson's show, and of course, what happens is these guys will go through this. I don't know, this phase of being like these incorrigible bad boys. Like Tucker Max wrote this book called I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell. And it was about his exploits when he was in college. He's a frat guy, how many chicks he's fucking and using game and everything else. And I don't think enough people appreciate this and understand this, because people like want to give him a lot of credit right now. And it's like, okay, whatever. But Tucker Max ended up knocking up a girl and then getting married to that, doing the right thing, got married, you know, to the girl that he impregnated. And then he throws out this other book, I think it was 2016, called Mate, that he co-authored with Dr. Jeffrey Miller. And on the cover of that book is his face and her face. They got a baby in between them, and his face is like blanked out, which was a reverse of his I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, because it was some random chick with her face and it said your face here on the thing. And now it's your face here, and he's the one that's blanked out. And I'm like, there's never been a more poignant like metaphor than his cover of his first book having the baby, and then the cover of his last book, which was Mate, right? And really that's sort of the process of these guys who go through what I call the prodigal son narrative, right? They were they were red pill and they're fucking a lot of bitches and everything else. And then suddenly they had some epiphany from God, or they knocked some girl up or whatever it is. And now they're like, you know what? I was so wrong. I'm coming back to the fold. Women are great. And, and I got to tell everybody how to have a really great life and have, go get married and have kids. And so suddenly they do a 180, like Julian Blanc did the same thing from RSD. And so there's these guys who will go through this. They'll have some sort of epiphany about it. And now it's what I call the prodigal son. It's like the prodigal son says, give me my inheritance. I'm going to go out and it's going to be hookers and blow. And he blows his inheritance. He comes back, and then everybody welcomes him back and slay the fatted calf. My son has come back to me. The prodigal son narrative is not about the prodigal son. It's about the people. It's about the family that welcomes him back. Because if that guy goes out there and he fucks up and things aren't the way he thinks he can do it on his own, and he's like, oh, I fucked everything up, and then he comes back to the fold, all that does is reaffirm that we were in the right to begin with, right? So you need to be blue pill. You need to have kids. You need to do the things, to live the lifestyle that we have, right? And so when you see guys like Julian Blanc, or you see a guy like, I don't know if Corey Wayne falls into this category either, but because I don't know enough about him, but certainly Tucker Max, right? They come back, oh, you came back to the fold. See, we were right all along. And all it does is reinforce this very blue pill narrative of what these guys have been locked into, because they don't have any options. They don't have any selectivity. They had no way to do what Tucker Max did. They had no way to do what Corey Wayne or me or you or anybody else could do. And so there's this kind of self-righteous, reaffirmation of like, see, if you would have stuck to your guns and you wouldn't have to go through all that horse shit, right? Well, some people have to do that. Some people, that's how we have very interesting stories. That's how we do storytelling. So,
yeah.
But anyways, as far as, I wanted to get back to the body count thing, because I think that's really the number one. Like we were just talking about insecurity. One of the reasons why women default to insecurity as like sort of a shaming tactic for guys is because anything that can divert guys away from like worrying about or overemphasizing or being OCD or like being concerned about body count is fair game. So they're gonna like insecurity, like, oh, you're insecure. Well, about what? The reason why guys are concerned with body count, and overly so, is because they want to ascertain paternity. That's why they want to know that the baby is theirs. If you go all the way back to evolutionary ancestral past, right? That's why the guys who were worried about that outbred the guys who weren't worried about that, right? And so that is really kind of one of the existential fears of men, is to be cuckolded. You want to know why guys will often, kill the wife or the mother of their child when they find out that the child is actually not theirs.
Oh shit.
That's why. Because it's a loss of investment. It's like, you told me, you lied to me. One of the worst things a woman can do is say it's your baby, and it's not your baby, right? And to the point where, and we're getting like, again, we're crashing headlong into sort of modern times and modern science. So now we have DNA testing that we've really had since the 70s, but now we can like plot the human genome, right? And so we know more about genetic diseases. So if the father has a genetic disease and the children don't, odds are he ain't the father. So how do you deal with that in a 21st century, in 21st century sensibilities? So that's number one. So how do you do that? You dissuade men from you shame them from ever thinking or being suspicious that they might be being cuckolded, because that's really what body count boils down to. It's a insurance, a psychological insurance mechanism to make sure that you're not going to be cuckolded. That's number one. Number two is this, and I wish people would fucking get this through their head, and because exactly this is where I wanted to go with this today, is the alpha widow, the concept of the alpha widow. So when Pearl says, oh, well, after 6 or 7 partners, then you have a 20% increase in marital unhappiness, however that's met, whatever the metric is for that. Yes, there is a higher instance of divorce. There's a higher instance of marital instability. Not happiness is bullshit. First of all, measuring happiness is always voodoo science. Okay. So marital instability, if you're going to do it on that criteria, by that metric, yes. Sexually transmitted diseases, yes. Incident of divorce, yes. It goes up incrementally depending on how many partners you have. understood. Now, of course, a guy like Mac and Murphy, I don't know if you're familiar with Mac and Murphy. Mac and Murphy's guy, he's kind of like, I want red pill adjacent, but he's very critical of the red pill. And so he'll throw stuff out saying like, well, if guys have, women have high body counts, but guys have high body counts too. All you're doing is just distracting from the fact that when women have more partners and men tend to be more overly focused on that, there's a reason for that. Here's the reason. So we can talk about the stats, but what we're really concerned with is not so much the stats of divorce or any of that other shit. It's how many partners has that woman had in her sexual history, and how many of those have had an alpha impact on her. Because that, you want to know where the divorce comes from. Like, let's go further. Where does the 20% come from? Like, why would that be? Like, ask a, like, it's like fucking Inception. When you have to get to the bottom of the Inception in the movie. Like, there's an Inception. There's a stage below the 20%, divorce increase, whatever it is, and that's why would that be? Why would there be that? Why would having more partners predispose a woman to higher instance of marital instability? Sexual transmitted diseases is pretty obvious, but like the rest of that. Well, here's the reason. Because the more men that are in a woman's pool of guys that she's had sex with in the past means that there's a greater probability that one or more of those guys who are part of that sexual history had an alpha impact on her.
Correct.
And when women are looking for a partner, or the one that got away, or the alpha that she couldn't lock down, if she's got 10 partners as opposed to 3 partners, odds are that you have a much greater pool of men from which that could have happened. If there's 100 partners, now it's like, well, the next guy that I get with, or the guy that I want to settle down with, is never going to measure up to one of those guys that happens to be in that 50 body count. That's what's being missed. So if you're a red pill, I'm giving this to you all for free. Next time you're asked about body count and why you think it's so important, and why women think, they don't understand, I think it's insecurity. The reason is because one of those guys is the benchmark for all the guys that come after that guy.
Yeah, where she's comparing from.
Yep. So that goes back to the alpha widow dynamic. And I don't think enough people really understand what the alpha widow is.
It's powerful, bro.
That's the guy that she can't get over.
Yep.
That's the guy who fucked her so well and she really was in love with. And that was the one, right? That was her soulmate. And Johnny died at Dead Man's Curve. And, I can't believe it. Like, you've seen Titanic, obviously.
Yep.
Okay. It's like at the end of the movie where Rose is like giving the heart of the fucking sea to, drops it. It's multi-million-dollar diamond, drops it down to the fucking bottom of the ocean. She's pining for Jack, who died, who's down and, froze his ass and dropped down to the bottom of the ocean, right? Because 5 minutes of alpha trumps 5 years of beta. Okay. So she's not thinking about the guy who she married, who gave her this lifestyle of, flying airplanes and riding English horses and having God knows how many, because she's there with her grandchildren, right? So how many grandchildren she's had. And she's not thinking about the guy who was her husband for all those years. She's still hung up at 100 years old, literally 100 years old, on this guy that is at the bottom of the ocean who fucked her once on the Titanic. And it was still considered one of the greatest love stories ever told.
So isn't there a saying it's like men love romantically and then women love like
practically?
Yeah. And it's so true, bro. I think because guys, they think that women are going to love the same way that they do. So the more time they spend, the more they invest. It's the complete opposite for girls. The more time you spend, the more energy you spend, the more you invest, the less she respects you, the less she starts to value you. The less she starts to compare you to the guy she spent 5 minutes with or whatever. So it's very interesting how men and women love, and it's completely different. Same thing with how they communicate. We're just different, and I think society is trying to tell us that, oh yeah, we're all the same and we're all equal, and they do love you. And it's just like, bro, actually, dude, girls will just literally just try to. The girls are more thinking about sex than you are, and it's fucking crazy. But girls think about sex way more than dudes, and if you're on the other end of the spectrum, when you are that alpha, you will see it. Like these girls are just here to fuck.
You will understand.
Yeah. And it's hard to explain it unless you're on that other side. Because most guys have been on the one side where they're putting all the effort in, trying to have sex. And and if you're on the other spectrum where it's like, you don't have to do shit. You could be the worst human being ever. Yeah. And they will just do whatever to sleep with you.
Yes.
So it's very interesting. And I think it's like, that's like a whole red pill in itself for guys to swallow. And it's like, holy shit, like I am an asshole and these girls are fucking in love with me. It's hilarious, bro.
I learned that, and god damn it, okay, everybody drink. I learned that from Justin Waller more recently than ever. He always talks about Justin, by the way, is in Vegas right now. He's trying to get him to come in, but he's doing another show at this point. Maybe I'll get it. Oh, by the way, I will be doing a show with him. It'll be a pre-record though. Me and Mike Sartain are going to be doing an interview with Justin Waller on Tuesday. So that's something that's coming up, just so you guys know. See, another advantage of being in Las Vegas. But yeah, so like, I've always wanted to do this, and I don't think Justin would ever allow this to happen, but I would love, maybe he will. I would love to go through Justin's DMs. On his, because he showed like, and by the way, he's not the only one. Sterling Cooper has done the same thing too. He goes through the, like, whenever I see him, like the next time I see him, I'm not selling him out or anything, okay? But like anytime I see Justin, like if we're in Miami or he's here or wherever, and God forbid, it's like Sterling and Justin, because it's like they're fighting with each other with all the chicks in their DMs. He'll show me like the messages of these girls. Very attractive, fucking hot ass chicks,
and a lot of them we know on these shows.
And some of them are actually. I've been on a lot of these shows. Well, I'm not going to mention names. But when I'm looking at scrolling through, she's just like tabbing through this stuff. And I'm like, fucking A, because I think Mike was saying like when. I think a lot of the things that people get wrong about sort of the red pill or the statistical side of things, when we talk about the 80-20 rule, for example, like 80% of guys are deemed unattractive. I think we need to really focus and make a distinction on unattractive, not that doesn't mean that 20% of guys are attractive. It just means that they're not unattractive. Okay. 20% of guys might do. And we played a video. In fact, I'll dig it up here in just a second. I played a video on. Actually, I think I'll get that right now. Played this one video on Access Vegas, and here it is. Like, I'll throw this one out here since we're on the topic here. I'll put this one up here real quick. I was going to use this anyway. So
when it comes to men, us women place guys into 3 categories. The first category is the guy that we meet and we instantly just want. The sexual chemistry is high. We don't care what they do or how much they make, they are getting it. The second type is the guy that, he's okay. He's maybe not that good looking, but he's willing to spend money. He's going to pay our bills. He's going to buy us nice things. He's going to take us on all the dinner dates. But is he the one? No. Is sexual chemistry high? Or mid, probably. And then there's the third guy. The third guy doesn't have a shot in hell. There is nothing that he can do. There is no amount of money that he can make that would make us want him. He is a no right off the bat. Am I lying or am I telling the truth?
So he'll come back. He's had to go take a piss. He's coming. Here he goes. I was gonna say is, it keeps fucking up. That's all right. No, anyways, let me break this down. Obviously, you've got the alpha, the guy that women want to fuck. That's the 4.5%ers, right? That's the Justin Wallers of the world. That's the Jack Reachers. That's the who else? Jason Momoa. Okay, who by the way plays in a band. I didn't know he played bass in a band. Yeah, so you've got that, and you've got the guy who is the maybe he'll do. He's the guy that women eventually settle for. He's the guy that he has to always keep measuring up and always keep qualifying for. Those are the guys who are the most annoying part of this whole equation. And then there's the 80%ers of the guys who are no shot in hell, never going. Women don't even see them. Those are the invisibles. Those are the guys that Hoe Math calls the not people. Right? They're the ones on the bottom of that. That would be the 80%ers. Then you've got the 20%ers, and those are the guys who they might have sex. It's not really that they wouldn't want to, but they might if he has some sort of value added. And then there's the guys who are going to get it from the jump, and that's the Justin Wallers. Those are the guys that they're going to go after no matter what. So what I find interesting in all this is the degree to which people want to go through this kind of denialism about this not being the case. And it's like, this is classic hypergamy. I don't know how many, there's no better illustration than this video of the 80-20 rule. I should 80-20 4.5 because, and by the way, those aren't my stats. I didn't just pull this out of my ass. These are from Dr. David Buss. Everybody drink. 4.5% only 4.5% of guys are attractive enough for women to want to initiate with them. And this is, online or whatever. Yeah. Now, if we're going to take this and we're going to extrapolate this to a bigger, larger, more general dynamic, we would have to go and look at videos like this. We would have to look at things that happen in the field. And I think one of the things when we talk about, one of the big criticisms that we get is like, I'll have guys like want to like replicate studies. Ovulatory shift has been debunked. It's not replicable. Well, first of all, there's a lot of bullshit going on in the crisis of replication as it is. But even if that weren't the case, we still have videos like this. We still see shit in the field, right? And I think it was like Nick Krauser, who was the old school PUA guy, who was saying, and I've quoted him in a couple books, that 15 years of the seduction community and pickup artistry and really game has expanded our understanding of female nature and male nature and intersexual dynamics than the past 100 years of sociology and psychology, trying to explain the nature of men and women and the sexual dynamics between men and women. Because the guys who are going out in the field and coming back and reporting back, it's almost like gorillas in the mist, right? It's like Diane Fossey or Jane Goodall, like observing the behavior, writing it down, and coming back and saying, let's make a hypothesis about this. This is what we see happening in the field. That's a form of study. That's a legitimate form of fucking research, right? So if that's what's going on kind of, casually with the seduction community, what can we take from that? What are we learning from this? Right? Well, we're learning quite a bit. We're asking the right questions at least, and questions that people really don't want to have answered. And one of those is, how do women go about sexual selection? Well, here we have a woman laying it out for everyone, which is essentially her explaining the 80-20 rule without knowing what the 80-20 rule is.
Yeah, we're living in like the peak time in society where women are at their worst, to where basically women are allowed to be at their worst, and society kind of it promotes them to be their worst. Like I've never like you said, last 100 years, women were not like, you hear like these crazy fucking stories of girls sleeping with like a bunch of dudes, going back to her boyfriend, and then going back out after she fucks him. It's just like crazy fucking shit. That's like, I guarantee in the last 100 years, you've not heard shit like that. Even like prostitutes were not doing that type of shit. These girls are doing it like casually in college. It's like, what the fuck? So it just shows like, holy fuck, we're at like the peak time in history where, this is like the worst. And it shows like you can't think of girls as these perfect little angels. They can be at times, and they can also be this. And it's just like, they are a reflection of society. And our society right now is super fucking weak, and it's very allowing of this behavior, and it's actually rewarding of this behavior. It's not just like, oh, we'll just let it happen. It's more of like, we'll give you money on OnlyFans if you do this shit. And it's like, what the fuck? So it just shows what women can do. And it's like, she might not fuck you over and take your kids, but she can.
Yeah, it's not that every woman will. It's that any woman can.
Right? Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
I have this right here. Speaking of which, this is really. I was going to play this in the intro, but I think now's a good time.
This is how much I make in a week as a Miami stripper. Today is Tuesday. I never work Tuesdays, but this is the start of my work week, and I made $1,650.
She's a stripper in Miami.
Okay, so I'm leaving work. Tonight is Wednesday, and I made $3,830. Woohoo!
This bitch makes more than Miguel does off of crypto.
Okay, so it's Thursday now, but I worked last Wednesday, and I made $3,274.
And she's like a 4.
Definitely a really good night.
Crazy.
Okay, so last night was Thursday. I worked from
10:30
p.m.
4 or 5.
until 6 a.m. and I was there counting money until like 9 a.m.
This is her coming off.
I made $3,745. Definitely a good night. It was a long night though, and I'm starting to get sick. Okay, so this is from Saturday. I made $2,270. It was slower Saturday than I'm used to, but I felt like shit. My throat started hurting, so I went home early. Okay, so it's Monday. It is the last day of my work week. I did not work Sunday night. I was trying to work all 7 days in a row. for this video, but my throat started killing me Saturday late night at work, so I ended up leaving early. Took Sunday off for my own physical health. Feeling a lot better tonight. Tonight is the last night of my work week. I worked Monday and I made $1,018. Definitely not as good of a night as my usual Mondays, but I'm very happy I made something. It was a slow night.
$1,000, it wasn't that great.
I'll never say no to $1,000. So. Okay, so out of the past 7 days, I worked 6 nights, and my grand total for 6 nights of work at my club was $15,787. I'm super happy with that amount of money. Obviously, that's a crazy amount of money to make in a week. It is certainly not my best week, but it is certainly not my worst week either. And $15,000, I used to make that in like many 4, 5, 6 months of work. So the fact that I made that in 1 week is literally crazy. And yeah, obviously I put money aside for taxes too. I have a whole video on that if you're interested. Thanks for watching.
This video pisses basically every dude off. And it should motivate you to end simping, basically. This should be your motivation to end simping.
Yeah. Now, remember, this is a Miami stripper. And those are, does she make that make it ram? I guess maybe it's tips. Who knows what the fuck that was,
bro?
But that's the kind of money that she makes on a nightly basis, right? More or less, right? So, on a weekly basis, she's making a little more than 15,000, and she said that's not even her best week. So,
bro, there's people literally risking their lives for this country, and they're getting paid like 2% of what the fuck. That's
true.
It's fucking
now.
crazy,
Now, let me explain something to you. So, getting back to the body count thing and getting back to sort of sexual dynamics about this. If you got a girl like that, now she's a stripper. She's not a top earner on OnlyFans. I would like to see something similar to this for the top earner on OnlyFans. Who was that? It's not Ayala. It's I forget the other girl who goes on. She basically makes she's very invisible transparent with her earnings on OnlyFans. And I mean, the girl seriously earns like $1.5 to $2 million a month on. Now, granted, she's a top earner. I'm not going to say that everyone makes that. But let's just say, for sake of argument, like you're getting, if a woman is making 6 figures, let's just say, off of OnlyFans or off of being a stripper, whatever. When you got a guy who is saying he wants or just saying you got to build yourself up, you got to have more money, you got to have more style and everything like that. The amount of effort and the amount of energy that a guy has to do to be able to earn that kind of money to compete with that. And that's no one is going to be she's never going to get out of that industry until she's forced out of that industry. OnlyFans, God knows when you're going to get forced out of something like that. But honestly, when you see women being paid like that, the Justin Wallers of the world might be able to compete with that, but who else can compete with that at that time? The girl, I'm glad we did this back to back, because that one video of the girl, what was before this, where she's saying, look, there's going to be the guys who are going to get fucked no matter what. They don't matter if they got money or not. They're just hot and they want to have sex with them. Then there's the guys who have to earn it. It's earned pussy is what it is. It's value added. They're kind of they're not as fun in bed as the 4.5%ers, but they got to make more money. They got to have value added. Imagine trying to have enough value added to beat $15,000 a week. And that's why I think women are really super frustrated with shit. They are, well, men ain't shit. Well, of course they're not. The average guy is not making $15,500.
When women are in positions of power, they tend to fuck over everybody, including themselves. So when you give women the power in any relationship dynamic, what's her choice? To disrespect you and start talking to other dudes. Does that help her or the guy? No. She's going to lose the house. She's going to lose the kids. And it's just going to create a bunch of drama. No one wins. And through any relationship, or that's why there's no women in positions of power, because it doesn't exist. Of course, you guys might think there's CEO or business owned women. No, dude, they're being managed by some dude. The girls on this podcast, they're being managed by some dude. They're not doing this all by themselves. There's always a guy in the picture who's helping them out, and there's someone leading them. So there's no such thing as woman leading anything. When women lead shit, they lead it into the fucking ground, either relationships, the country, anything, bro. And so especially with these girls making all this money, they're fucking themselves over when they are choosing to make a bunch of money versus to be a quality person and a good human being, and they choose money, they're fucking themselves over, and they're fucking the other dudes over as well. And this is what happens when women are in power.
So like this has been something like I talk about usually with guys. I talk about this with. Okay. When it comes to getting a payday, right? When it comes to like guys who sell themselves out, they'll build like this really great. I'm not going to name names. This happens often enough. It's applicable to a lot of guys. So guys who will get into like a particular niche, maybe they start a podcast, maybe they write a book, maybe they do something else, and they have a hit. It's everybody loves it, and it's based because they're really passionate about it, and they were really. They're ideas guys. They got into it for the right reasons. They have a mission. They know what they want. They know what they want to write, what they want to broadcast, they know all this stuff, right? They make a shit ton of money. And then eventually just little by little, that idea becomes a brand, and that idea becomes a persona. And then that idea becomes a business. And then you have lifestyle creep. And then you have more people who are like dependent on you as a result of what was really originally a fucking great idea. And so now it becomes less about the idea, and it becomes less about the passion that initiated that, executed that idea. And now it's more about, it's just business. So I'll just play devil's advocate here. I'm sure, like, I'm absolutely 100% agree. I think there's probably guys that are behind her making that kind of money. There has to be a club. There has to be a place for her to dance in the first place. Who's that owned by? Not other women.
Yeah, she's got a pimp. Yeah.
It's a guy. There's a guy. And even if she doesn't have a pimp, she still has to go to the club. When somebody owns a club, how much of that shit if those are tips, great. How much does the guy keep of that?
Well, I mean, technically she's still owned by the guys who are giving her money too.
Yeah, exactly. So if the money dries up from the guys, and then suddenly it's gone.
That's what I'm saying. If guys wake up, all the bullshit in society will not exist. Like, of course, we keep talking shit.
See, the problem with that, the problem with that mentality, and I agree with you, but I think the problem with that mentality is that there's going to be a fresh crop of dudes who are just going to come in and take the place of these guys who are just going to say, okay, hey guys, we're all going to be it's solidarity, right? We're all going to just say, we're not notice simping, we're not notice strippers, no to OnlyFans girls, we're not going to touch our dicks, right? We're going to live proper, and then women will be forced to act right.
Yeah,
and I think that removes the factor. Well, first of all, we're in a global sexual marketplace, so you can get guys in like one state or one country, and maybe you get enough people to do that. Awesome, but it comes down to the bottom line, which is the money. So a lot of people will see this and they'll say she's showing you the fucking cash. She's giving you the numbers, the hard numbers right there. You can't argue with the fucking numbers.
What you said was actually really good.
They have the money, and so it's like, is it about the money or is it about the idea?
Yeah. Well, you said like a small group of guys, like you said, a state could do that, which is actually what you see now is like those conservative flyover states. They actually do have that. And the girls who are hoes, they leave that to go to California or Florida.
Right, yeah.
So actually,
you know why?
So it is possible.
$15,000 a month to the strip club.
Right.
That's
So
why,
it is possible. In theory, it is possible to where you can make it happen. And, those girls are going to filter themselves out. So I do think it's possible. And I truly believe like, if everyone gets on board and we keep pushing this message, we can make sure it happen.
And I would say it would be great. It's very idealistic. It'd be great if that could work. But again, devil's advocate here. Remember the girl that was before her who's saying there's the guys who are going to get fucked no matter what, whether they got money or they don't, right? Then there's going to be the guys who are going to have to earn it, who are going to have to qualify it. And then there's the guys who are invisible, right? They're never going to get it. They're the home math. You know who home math is, right?
No. Oh yeah, the guy
is like
on IG, right?
These are the not people. yeah, the not people. That's what she's talking about.
Okay.
That dynamic is still in place. Whether guys say we're not going to fuck, we're going to have solidarity, and we're not going to pay these girls, and we're going to try to initiate some kind of change. That is going to be there contextually in any event. So, for instance, like when you get into I've talked about gamer girls in the past, right? This is, I want to say this is kind of like a more recent sort of like dynamic, but it's been going on for a while now. But you get these girls who want to get into the gamer communities, right? Or cosplay, or there's a big deal on Twitch,
attention,
right? Yeah,
just for attention.
It's really about attention. But what happens is when you put women into a traditionally male space, that becomes sort of this micro sexual economy in there. And those guys in the greater world are nerds and dorks and geeks, and no chick wants to fuck them, except when they have women come into that male space, that woman is now changing the dynamic of that all male space. So what happens? The most alpha guy in the gaming community, that's the guy who is the Justin Waller, right? And then what happens is you'll see sort of a repetition of that theme on a smaller scale from within that community. So gamer girls are not necessarily into it for the games, but they come in there because they're getting more attention than they would if they were just in the general population, right? So in the global sense, she might be, a 4. In the gamer community, she might be a fucking 10, because those guys are so unused to fucking, women being around them at all, that suddenly she's the only girl there and every guy wants to fuck her. Now the guy who is the most alpha, abstraction, the most alpha amongst those guys in the gamer community, that's the guy who gets the girl.
Yeah.
See how that works?
Yeah.
So it becomes the human nature repeats itself in different contexts, but it's still gonna, like, the machine still wants what the machine still wants. That, and then also this, men are hierarchical, right? You're in the military, right? So there's the guy at the colonel and the chain of command, all the way down to the private and whatever. The reason why we're hierarchical is because we have things that make us respectable. We have a burden of performance, right? So what makes us respectable? Do we earn it? Do we achieve it? It's merit based, and that is a sort of a vestige of our mate competition. So who's at the top? The colonel gets the most pussy, right? I mean, let's figuratively speaking, maybe it doesn't. But the guys who are powerful men throughout history have been defined by 3 things. It's resources, territory, and access to preferably virgin women. A lot of them, like a harem of concubines, right? Those are the things that define, no matter what the society. It could be in the Amazon rainforest, or it can be the emperor of dynastic China and the forbidden city, whatever. The same theme plays out over and over. So you can say, okay, guys, we're all going to get together and we're not going to stroke off and we're not going to pay these dumb bitches on OnlyFans. And I'll guarantee you, amongst that group, there'll be solidarity. A girl will come into that group, whatever you call it. Yep. She'll fuck it up. And the guy who's the most alpha amongst the guys who are no FAP and no OnlyFans, that chick is going to want to get with that guy. And now you have that hierarchical competition that will repeat itself.
Well, it's not the girl that fucks up. It's the weak guy that falls for it. In any friend group. What ruins any friendship? It's a girl that comes to the mix, and then it's one guy who gets weak.
Ruins the dynamic.
Yep. Gets weak for the girl. Either starts simping for her, doesn't hang out with his boys anymore, or he starts choosing the girl over his best friend. Things like that. And it's the same thing. And this is how wars are started too, bro. They'll use girls to start wars. Going back
to reinforce recruitment for those wars.
Exactly.
Yeah. I got okay, so this is a really good segue into this one I got. Man, this is working out real good for me. Where'd that go? Okay. This just Ryan Stone, thank you for making me aware of this guy. I just want to give credit where it's due, but I don't know who this dude was, but I'm learning fast who this guy is. Let's see if I can put him on. Here we go.
Problem with the manosphere is they're saying, okay, women are really promiscuous now. Women are earning half the bread. Women doing this, that, and the other. So what you need to do is out-earn her. You may as well take advantage of the promiscuous culture with the group of women that are going to go and sleep around while you can, and then you just pick a virgin and settle down when you've got enough money 15 years later. And it's like, number one, if you've just spent 15 to 20 years sleeping around with the kind of women that you pour scorn on, do you think that's going to put you in the right mindset to actually be a loving and devoted father by the time you meet a woman you want to commit to? You're probably going to have some bitterness towards women if you've been interacting with the kind of women that are creating this culture you don't like. Also, 15 and 20 years is a long time to be lonely.
Okay, so that's a long time to be lonely. Okay, first off, I forget who this guy is. Somebody's got to bring this up. Somebody give me the name of this dude. Anyways, I'll pull it off the Twitter here in just a second. But I was just made aware of this. I don't know who this guy is, but the rationale is exactly the same. Meaning that, like, the idea that guys are going out there fucking a lot of bitches because they're taking advantage of some sort of promiscuous culture is like patently false. Most guys aren't doing this. Okay.
Yeah.
The top 4.5%, the Justin Wallers, the Jason Momoas, the Jack Reachers, if they're of the mind that they want to do that, that's an option that they could do because they have that sexual selectivity. But the problem that I have with this is they think that the manosphere or the red pill is teaching guys to just go out and bang random hoes. They always come at me for plate theory. Plate theory has nothing to do with fucking anything on 2 legs. Okay. It has to do with sexual selectivity, abundance mindset, and dating like a fucking adult, which is non-exclusively. So that, and people get me confused with Myron when he talks about fuck 50 chicks before you settle down kind of thing. it's not. I would never make that illustration. But I would say this is that you need to spin plates up until a point where you're right around, like, say, at 30, 35, somewhere. Don't consider monogamy until you get to that point, because you've got girls who are 23 years old making $15,000, a month at the strip club, or these girls that you would like. We just said she was a 6, or you said she was a 4,
4 or 5.
Making that kind of scratch in fucking Miami. Okay, well, when guys see that and they see women at sort of the apex of their power, which she is, I mean, I don't know, maybe she looks like she's about 23, maybe I'm 24, somewhere around there. I'm guessing, but that's the kind of money that she's making in Miami as a Miami stripper, probably at booby trap. But anyway, so when you see something like that, and these guys are like, well, you need to settle down, find a good woman and settle down. I'm saying, well, women are more educated right now. They make more money right now. And even if they're not making $15,000 a month, and we're like, you brought this up, you said, well, women need to like find something more, like, I don't know, intrinsically, inherently rewarding, or find something else. You the want to be a mother, the want to be a good housewife, whatever.
Yeah.
Or $15,000 a month. Sell your pussy for $15,000 a month.
Well, that's what happens if you remove God. Because when you remove God, now what's the next thing you value? Money.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that stops you from valuing money is God. Because a lot of people value money. This is guys and girls. When you lose perspective of God and how much you value God, you're gonna sell yourself for money.
But here's the thing: I can be 22 years, like all these girls. You've been on whatever podcast. These girls on whatever podcast, they have. Well, one of them said a 9 body count or whatever. Or these girls are on OnlyFans, and they want to say, well, you know what? I made a lot of money from the time I was 18 till I was 28. And guess what? I found God at 28 years old. And now I'm a multimillionaire.
Hell no.
Hey, now I'm good.
Hell no.
Right? I stick the landing.
But yeah, so they can say that. But what's going to still reward them is the guys who believe in that crap. The Christian trad dudes who are like, oh, she's changed. She's reverted, like that red hair bitch. Oh, she's different. Yeah, like, bro, no, don't be a white knight. Don't save these hoes. And sadly, a lot of Christian guys have that mindset. Like, oh, she's Christian now, so she's changed. Like, bro, you're gonna learn the hard way really fucking quick. So
I'm not gonna shit on your religion. I understand. I get it. I wrote a book on religion. I got it. But you do see how convenient that is.
Oh, yeah.
You see it? Like, when people get me, they'll say, well, they'll say, well, Rolo, don't you think these girls could be sincere in their conversion to Christianity at 29 years old? And, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, I'm not doubting their sincerity. I think they're probably 100% sincere about it. They would probably take a polygraph test and are you sincere about your conversion to faith, whatever? I'm sure they would pass a polygraph test. I'm not about sincerity. I'm about the convenience, like the timing for this is like, where was this fucking, sincerity when you're 18 to 28 years old?
I said on the podcast when we were with Michael, and I even said in front of the girls, like, they're all talking about how they want to get married. I'm like, be careful, guys, because these girls are gonna be a hoe, and then they're going to get married and have kids. So don't fall for it. And then one of the girls are trying to get mad at me, and the other girl, I forgot her name, the one that had a bunch of tattoos. She was like, "Wait, no, he's actually right, because I was a hoe. I sleep with all these guys, and now I want to have kids. I want to be a wife, But now these guys don't want to take me seriously, so he is right." And then all the girls, they're all.
I'm sure some youth pastor will wipe you up just any minute now.
Yeah, for sure, bro. But yeah, I mean, dude, but these guys are gonna learn the hard way that these girls are not.
Let me ask you this. Okay, this is just a hypothetical question.
Sure.
Okay, so this is just maybe it's a philosophical question. Do you think that if a girl goes through her hoe phase, right, 18 to 28 years old, party years, whatever, she goes through her hoe phase, right, and then she has, let's just say she's sincere about it. She says, you know what, I want to get right with God, and I'm going to make all the guys that come after, they're going to jump through some hoops, and they're going to have to prove to me that they're, whatever. Do you think that if a woman has, like, say, let's just round it off, says a 30 body count in the last, like, from 18 to 28, right? And that predisposes her to not having a good, according to statistics, not having a good marriage, marital instability, divorce, blah, 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 all that stuff. Do you think that her conversion to Christianity would erase all of that?
Fuck no.
All that.
What the fuck?
All the odds
No.
for that.
No, dude. No. It's on your criminal record for life.
It's on your criminal record. That's fine. Well, because that's the mentality. Like,
yeah, these try guys. Yeah, I know. I'm not.
I'm born again. I'm a new creature. I'm a new creation. So all that shit when I was fucking guys from 18 to 28 right now, you should not have anything. Why are you so concerned about body count? I have a new faith.
Bro,
that's this, by the way, that's the sales.
Yeah, that's their sales pitch. Yes, correct. And a lot of guys who don't know any better, who don't experience it, they will hop straight into it. The Christian, hardcore Christian guys, oh, she's a Christian.
Well, they have to, because if they don't, then are you a real Christian? God's forgiven her. Why can't you?
I guess I'm not.
Why can't you? Yeah.
But I mean, but there's all shaming tactics too. It's just a bunch of shaming from other Christian simps or religious simps. I mean, I'm not saying all Christians are simps, but bro, I've seen a lot, and I wrote about this in Religion. Is you'll get that's a life plan, right? It's like, I'm going to go through my hoe phase, my party phase, and I was so crazy in college and the hot guy in the foam cannon party in Cancun, in spring break. And then she gets to be 28, 29, 30, 31 years old, which, by the way, 30 years old, average age of first marriage. And then wants to do things that's why I call it the epiphany phase. It's like when women want to get right with God, they want to do things different. They want to find a nice guy and settle down. And it's usually because on some level of consciousness, they recognize that they can't compete at the same level in the sexual marketplace that they could before. And they want to have a long-term commitment. They want to have a guy they can have babies with, and they want to have, go forward into, and then of course for guys, average age of first marriage in the United States for women is 30, and for men it's 32 right now. It used to be even younger than that, but it's a buzzer beater. Thanks. But it's before buzzer beater, it was called sticking the landing. Okay. That's what Dalrock used to call it. It's like, have all the, go through all that party phase, and then have this miraculous religious conversion, and then now she's a new creation, and now she's going to move on, right, and into that, which is exactly what that guy in that last video was saying that the guys in the manosphere are doing. It's exactly a reflection of that. And also, I should also point this out and I put this up so I could grab it today. My favorite quote from Sheryl Sandberg: "When looking for a life partner, my advice to women is to date all of them. The bad boys, the cool boys, the commitment phobic boys, the crazy boys, but do not marry them. Things that make the bad boy sexy do not make them good husbands. Duh. When it comes time to settle down, find someone who wants an equal partner. Someone who thinks women should be smart, opinionated, and ambitious. Someone who values fairness and expects, or even better, wants to do his share in the home. These men do exist, and trust me, over time, nothing is sexier." By the way, Sheryl Sandberg used to be CEO of Facebook, and that was from her book from 2014 called Lean In. Yeah, I think
exactly what the guy in the video was saying, that the guys in the manosphere are.
If girls can have their cake and eat it too, they will. If they can have a guy friend while having a boyfriend, they will. If they can have simps paying them money while having a guy to take them seriously, they will. If they can sleep with a bunch of dudes and they eventually get cuffed by a dude and have kids with a dude, they will. Girls, if they have the opportunity to have their cake and eat too, they will. Just not with me. Like, hey, it is what I mean. I'll be super open and honest. Like, and every girl watching this will know. It's like, bro, like, you guys can have fun. You guys can go sleep around. You guys do whatever the fuck you want. You're gonna do it anyway. It's just the fact that I'm not gonna be there to reward that behavior. And I think if more guys had that mindset, I think we'd be a little bit better off when it comes to this whole simping pandemic and these girls acting this way.
I have one more to add to throw on the fire here. Let me actually, I think should I share? This is actually a post from Rob Henderson. He was talking about recently, Dr. Jeffrey Miller has been on some podcasts making the rounds, this is like super ironic. So actually, maybe I'll just show you the screen here. Where is it? This is it. I tried to, I threw this in at the end of Access Vegas on Thursday, but I thought I'd reread this for you so we could sort of contemplate it a little bit more. This is a quote, Rob Henderson's tweeting this, but this is a quote from Jeffrey Miller. He says, "The red pill guys, right, chase cues of sexual fitness. They might have sex with apparently fertile young women who are on contraception, not having any babies. From a Darwinian point of view, what these guys are doing is no different from sitting home and masturbating, well, watching porn." Okay. I thought this was an interesting take from a guy who's basically been this evangelist for the polyamory lifestyle. So it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black here. And still is, as far as I know. So, but I think it's interesting is like when we get criticized, like in the red pill thing, I think people think that the red pill is all about telling guys to go fuck anything, like rack up a body count, go. And the irony of this is that, first of all, one of the premier tenets of understanding red pills. Most guys can't do that. We just saw the chick who was just saying, like, there's guys who are never going to get it. The 80% of guys who are unattractive, they can't do this.
But they want to.
They would want to. Yeah. Everybody, all these guys would love to be able to do that. It's a fantasy of theirs is to live a porn lifestyle for sure. But because men, we talk about hypergamy a lot as being like women's like primary sexual strategy, or their imperative, their mating imperative, right? Mm-hmm. For men have one too. They have a mating imperative as well, and it's unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. Okay, and what that means, and what offers that in the virtual sense today? Pornography. Unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. It never has a headache. You can always rub one out, and it's always there. And by the way, it's always free.
Yep.
So you can always go get it streaming 4K. Go for it, man. We have access to a level of pornography or sexuality, virtual sexuality, that Caligula and the Roman emperors didn't have in the orgies. Okay, so it virtually satisfies unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. Now, when you look at the like you were just mentioning before, like every guy wants to get that, right? They would love to be able to do that, but most of them can't. The vast majority of men cannot live that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So to say that the red pill guys are like encouraging this or trying to in some way like promote this is horseshit. First of all, it just promotes an ignorance of the red pill. And then secondly, what you were saying just a moment ago about like how guys, you don't like club girls. You don't want to go for clubs. You want to find it. You find it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the guys who, even Dan Bilzerian in his book talks about it. Like I didn't fuck as many girls as Dan, obviously, but he even says like he's done it. So now he can actually say like, I don't like this shit.
Yeah. Well, and he has the selectivity and the experience to actually make an educated call about it.
And the guys who say, oh, I think this shit's bad, or I wouldn't do this shit, and they never experience it. It's like, but you kind of still want to.
It's like hating from outside the club.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can genuinely say I don't want these girls at all. And there might be some guys like, oh, I still want to try it. Like, go for it, bro. Try it, experience it. I think that's what he's thinking about on that tweet. Because we're telling the guys to go experience, go try shit out. So you can genuinely say, I don't want these bitches. I don't want these girls who go out to the club. Because if you don't try, and I'm not telling guys to go to the club. I fucking hate that shit. I tell you guys to avoid it. But realistically, it's like if you do, you'll get the XP and you'll learn. Like,
XP,
hey, like the same thing. I think Andrew even talks to us all the time. He's like, like fighting and boxing. He even says like, I wish I didn't fight for this long, wherever the fuck it may be. Even like military, I'll say the same shit. Like a lot of guys will say they wish they didn't do these things, but then the funny thing is, it's kind of what you need in order for you to properly say that. So the thing that caused him to be in that place is the exact same thing he's telling guys not to do. Like when he's saying he'd be boxing and all this other stuff for so long, it's like, but that's what made him in that position. And I think every guy will advise other guys, like saying, oh, I don't want guys to waste their time. You shouldn't waste your time with girls. Like, but it's kind of what they need in order for them to value themselves.
You had to go through that so that you would understand
exactly
that stuff. Yeah. And I think Myron tries to make that, or tries to illustrate that with his, fuck 50 girls before you start talking, looking at like, being monogamous. And when you see somebody like Andrew Wilson, like who questions him on something, and I'm nothing against Andrew, I understand the confusion there because it's not an actual number of 50 girls, right? It could be 40 girls. If that's the case, then I got about 9 more to go. So sorry, I guess I'm not a man. But the idea is and also with plate theory is not about fucking or like people criticize me for the iron rule of Tomasi number 3, which is any girl that makes you wait for sex or by her actions implies that she's making you wait for sex.
She don't fuck with you.
The sex is never worth the wait.
That's it,
because now there's something that's mitigating that sex, that raw sexual, animalistic, genuine desire is mitigated by something.
Yeah, now she's thinking about logic and reasoning.
Right.
Well,
so what do people say? Oh, well, that role is just saying you're just fuck easy women. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying 3 dates maybe is enough to determine whether or not that woman has genuine desire for you. That rule is not about fucking. It's about calibrating and discerning desire on that part of that woman.
I would even say you don't even need to fuck. Just get naked in bed with her.
Well, yeah,
fuck out like a G.
And then it comes back to the same thing. And this is another red pill maxim: is women break rules for alphas and they make rules for betas. The chick that was in that video just confirms this. We'll do anything. Well, whatever it takes. They'll cheat
Yeah.
on their husband. They'll break the rules that they would not necessarily have for the guy who's in the 20% who has to earn that and figure that shit out, and you have to do things the right way.
Yeah.
Right? So if she's making rules for you, odds are she sees you as a beta male, or she sees you as somebody who's in that 20% who has to qualify for it. And that's where, like, Melina would be right. That's transactional at that point. It's obligation. I don't want a girl to fuck me because she's obligated to fuck me. I want her to fuck me because she's just like, I am so hell yes, I want to fuck you. That is where you want to get. And that's where, honestly, that's where the healthiest relationships are built.
Mm-hmm.
So when guys like this come in who don't fuck, they're very concerned with the virtues of guys who do fuck.
Yes.
Right. Because they don't, first of all, they don't understand it because they've never had the sexual selectivity or the options to be able to have understood it.
Yeah.
So when I see like some Christian youth pastor go up on Valentine's Day and tell you about good relationships and sexuality and this and that, and he met his wife in Bible summer camp, and he just doesn't have a base of a frame of reference to even talk about that kind of stuff. I mean, maybe he can go pull stuff out, quotes out of the Bible all day long. Great for you. But the thing is he doesn't have the depth of experience.
Yeah,
I would much rather talk to a guy who's a man whore, who was like converted himself, and now he's suddenly a Christian and everything. That's the guy I want up there giving the fucking sermon for the Valentine's.
I mean, what does it, just look at realistically when you're in school and they talk about don't do drugs. Everyone's like, oh yeah, don't do drugs. But then you have a former drug addict telling you, everyone's like, okay, I'm definitely not going to do drugs now.
Yes.
So it's more effective when you have someone who has gone through that shit. And I guess they were the guinea pig or some shit, but they're more effective at teaching because they've gone through the shits.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's also options too. It's like, I think really plate theory and everything that, like, people must say, well, it's promiscuity, you're promoting promiscuity. It's like, well, I'm not saying you have to fuck every single one of them, but you have to determine that woman would break her rules to fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, now I've determined that. Right?
Yeah, I would even say, even for the guy, because I have a handful of guys who are super religious and like, I don't want to sleep with girls, or I'm not allowed to sleep with girls. They want to, but they say I'm not allowed to because my religion. I'm like, okay, well, I still think it's good for you to go interact with women, and communicate with them and go on dates with them, and and whatever is on the walking the line of what's haram and what's not haram. Do that so you can get the XP. I mean, even if you can get into bed with the girl, get naked with her, just so I can sleep with her, and don't do it. Right? And it's like, that's why I tell guys, I know how haram. I don't know if that's halal or not, but
I tell you, it's funny. Look, okay, I'll since you're here, I'll confess my sins. No, when I go to, like, when I do Access Vegas, we go to the clubs afterwards, or if, like, I was just recently, like last week, I was in Miami for the white party and stuff, and I'm around like women who are half naked women, like, seriously.
Yeah.
And there's girls that I know are DTF, right?
Yep.
And I get this from Adam Sosnick, I get this from Fresh, I get this from a lot of people who say, how do you stay faithful to your wife? And all this. And I go, because I said I practice catch and release game. Okay, like, I know, I get to the point where I go, okay, I can determine that. That's good enough. I'll let the fish go, right? That kind of thing. It's catch and release. That's similar to what you're saying about, like, these guys who, like, say, well, if you're religious and your convictions are such that's how it is. I even make concessions for that in my first book about that. If this is your religion, if this is how you're out, the important thing to take away from this rule or from plate theory is to be able to develop a sense of understanding whether it's genuine desire or it's not.
Correct.
It's not about the fucking. And I hate this because everybody wants to throw this at me and say, like, well, Rollo's promoting promiscuity, but like this guy was right here. That's not what it's about. It's about determining genuine desire. And if you practice catch and keep, great. If you practice catch and release, then that's on you too. But at least you're developing those skills, and really the skills are more meant to develop opportunities and options, but also to determine whether or not you're getting genuine desire from this person.
It's more authentic, because a lot of these trad Christian dudes are like, oh, I don't want these girls, or you don't marry these girls, or whatever, or like, I don't want to sleep with these girls. It's like,
unless they're virgins and they're
correct. But it's like, are you really saying that from an authentic place, or are you saying that from a place of experience, or are you saying that from a place of just reading or saying what other people said? Like, I would say, go do that. Go do exactly what Rollo does, and learn from it, because then you're gonna come from a place of more authenticity, and it's more genuine. And now you could genuinely say to guys, do this. because it works, and you'll get the experience, right?
Or you can do even better than this. Like I'm not a guy who gives prescriptions. I'm not a guy who gives advice. I'm an analyst, right? So I can figure out what's going on with you and your situation. I mean, I could give you some suggestions, or you'll probably give yourself your own suggestions once you have a clear, vision of what's actually going on with you. Here I am looking at this from a third party, right? God's eye view of what's happening with you that you might not see. Right? Yeah. So here's my take on this. What do you think? What do you think you should do? Right. And so when I do stuff like that, it's not from the respect of go and fuck as many bitches as you possibly can. It's from educating you and trying to figure out what you decide what's best for you. Because ultimately, I could give you this prescription, but the thing is like there's no such thing as one size fits all in these cases. Yeah. So I have to be able to express that. But of course, then everybody who hates on you is going to say, well, you're telling these guys to just go be as promiscuous as possible. And it's like the truth of the matter is people like Sheryl Sandberg have been telling women exactly that same thing for a whole lot longer than I've been around. Yeah. So it's
we're not even doing as much damage as the social media on women.
But my final point on this was that like the guys that I have as personal contacts or have personal counseling or consults, they're not trying to get their notch count up. They're not trying to fuck a lot of girls. They only want one girl. They want the bitch they want the dream girl. And even there's a little danger in that, but I would say worry less about red pill guys encouraging guys to be man horse, because most guys, A, they can't do it. Yep. B, they've been so conditioned to think of other, like they don't have any mental point of origin, as we were saying at the beginning of the show. They think of women before they think of themselves or anything else for that matter. And they're looking for female approval as a result of that, because they think that female approval is the key to getting laid. They'll do whatever it takes to get laid. How do I get laid? Let me ask this girl and see what she wants in life. Oh, I want a nice guy who's funny, who likes puppy dogs. He wants ice cream cones, and he likes he wants kids in the future. And he comes from a good family. He's fun. All this laundry list, and find out that they're fucking Chad Thundercock, right? And they don't understand. I did all these things that you said would get me laid or that you like, but I'm not getting laid. Well, that's because you're one of those guys who's either in the 20% or the 80%, and you need to find some way to prove your value added. Meanwhile, she's going to go fuck Jason Momoa, right? So when you're telling guys this, it's not that they want to be a player. In fact, I even mentioned, like in the Player's Handbook in my 5th book, like I mentioned this in the introduction. I said most guys aren't looking to become a quote unquote player.
They're doing it for the girl.
They want to find one girl, or they already have. They're fixated on one girl already, and they want to learn the skills, the manosphere, red pill, seduction skills, people, whatever it is. They want to learn whatever the magic fucking sauce is to get one girl. One single girl. And that's why it's like a foreign concept to say fuck 50 girls before you try to fuck this one girl. They don't care. They're already past that. I don't have to fuck a whole bunch of women. I just want this one girl, my high school sweetheart. Or how do I get my girlfriend back? Or how do they're not looking to measure their dicks by their notch count. Most guys, what is it? I think I mentioned this on the show on Access Vegas. I think it's 21% of men that are 50 years old, their average is 15 partners. Only 21% of 50-year-olds have had 15 partners or more.
That's like a normal 18-year-old girl's body count.
Yeah, exactly. And you go on. You held the one girl on that we just said she's got 9 already. She's like working my way up. Right. So be less worried about God, because it's not the guys that are like turning into man whores. It's the Sheryl Sandbergs who are saying, fuck the bad boys, date the bad for you boys, and then stick the landing when you get to be 30, which is exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, bro.
So, you want to build families, you want to do all this stuff, and if that's your goal, you have to have a holistic approach to the whole thing. I got this. Here, well, I understand the alpha widow dynamic, but does it apply to men too? I'm not going to lie. There's been a few girls in my past that I pine over. Of course, you got one-itis. One-itis is the parallel to
abundance.
Yeah, the alpha widow. Guys who fixate on one girl. If you get one-itis for a girl, that's more or less the one that got away. However, for guys, it's a whole lot different, because women tend to fixate long term, guys fixate short term. That's why they always tell you, you know how you get over a girl? You get under another one. Yeah, fuck another one, right? And so you're probably going to think about those ones until you find the next one that fucks you better than that other one. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that a lot of guys, especially in sort of the tradcon circles, don't understand is they'll say, well, you got to find a good quality woman, right? Well, she's still a fucking woman, right? So when I've said in the past that women don't marry a man, they marry a lifestyle. Well, if she's marrying into that lifestyle and then that lifestyle increases, great. But if it decreases, you're not going to be married anymore.
Yeah.
And so that of course is the number one precipitator of divorce is a change in that guy's economic status, right? So if that woman gets a raise or she gets a promotion at work or something like that, more than she starts out earning him, that's going to put stress on the marriage and in most cases divorce. So if that's the case, does body count even fucking matter at that point? You can have your nice little girl who's got like 3 body count and you're making the same amount of money as her, and now she's been promoted to a new station. She's got higher status than you. That's going to cause marital instability too.
Even if she's a virgin, I feel like.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So the machine is still the machine. The woman is still wants what she wants. When was it the Chris Rock joke where she said, like men can't go back sexually and women won't go back like lifestyle wise.
Yeah.
Like if you got a girl who took it in the ass, the next girl's got to be able to take it in the ass, right?
True.
Or whatever it is. She gave you, 4 blowjobs in a week, and now if she gives you 5, then you're the next, star on my show. Right? Yeah. So for women though, it's the lifestyle. It's because women need long-term security. And so what's going to precipitate divorce? I would also be more concerned about like maintaining your status and doing the best you can. Still, you can't let yourself fucking go after marriage, assuming that's the lifestyle choice you choose.
Yeah, that's what guys do.
You have to be going more. You have to still be concerned with your own self-development and becoming more.
That's the issue. If you make women the mission priority, because once you get it, you're like, all right, I can chill. I did all this work. I did the plate spinning for these girls. I did the cold approaching in the game for these girls. Now I got it and I could chill and relax. It's like, no, dude, you do that shit for yourself. That's when I think that's another level. Like you said, is like the guys do it for the girl. And I promise you, you're going to do it. You're going to get the girl. It works. But then you're going to lose the girl. And then that's when you reach the nether level where you're like, fuck, I need to do this for myself. And then that's when it's like, holy shit, now you're at another level of abundance, right? And I think that's what guys just have to go through that shit, man. And yeah.
Well, I think one of the things about like doing it for yourself is an underappreciated part of like the master of the red pill stuff, which I have criticized tradcons for this up and down, is that traditional conservative guys don't want men to become the best versions of themselves for themselves. They want to solve a problem. They want to solve women's problems.
Yes, that's the issue.
They don't fucking care about what you are, whether you're going to offer whether men have a higher instance of suicide. They don't care about that shit. All they care about is listen. They hear women saying men ain't shit. They're not going to college. They're not prepping. They're not preparing to be like, good life mates. And it's like, and why would they? What's the incentive these days? Right. But putting that aside, the concern that most traditional conservatives have towards the attitude of guys these days, such as the one here, like, we've got to get rid of these red pill guys because they're telling them to fuck anything, right? That's not what we're saying. And then in the meantime, you got other guys in the traditional conservative spheres saying men need to man up and they need to be better individuals because we need more babies, and women aren't going to choose you unless you're making a good chunk of change. You got your business on point, you got your physique on point, and money, muscles, and game, which is what red pill's been talking about for fucking ever.
But they're like, it's like a beta male mindset way of thinking.
It is. And that's why I keep saying that people want to criticize the red pill and say, well, it's feminism, right? The red pill is just a flip side of the coin for feminism. No, traditional conservatism is the flip side of feminism because it still has the primary focus on satisfying that woman. The purpose of getting better as a man is to solve women's fucking problems, not for the individual man, not to be a better man, not to be on top of his game, not to be a high achiever, a high value man, just for the sake of being a high value man. It's to solve women's problems. They do not care about men becoming the best versions of themselves. They care about men becoming the best versions of themselves so they can satisfy women's needs. That's why.
Yep.
So shut the fuck up about this goddamn feminism shit. Red pill's just feminism for no, it's not. Actually, it's you motherfuckers that are the flip side to feminism because your focus is on women. That's why. God forbid a guy say in the red pill, you know what? Maybe focus on you and do it for yourself. Like you just said a second ago, focus on yourself instead of like have mental point of origin. As I was saying before, traditional conservatives don't want men to have themselves as their primary focus, as their mental point of origin. The first thing that comes into their head is traditional conservatives do not want that. They want the woman, the bitch. Well, gosh, I gotta get a college degree. Well, why, Jimmy? Because I need to make sure that the hot girl that I want to get who's going to church and Bible study right now is going to find me as an acceptable, eligible bachelor. Is that not the flip of fucking feminism? Because all you're doing is like satisfying that. Your whole thought is serving women.
Yep.
And I'll tell you this right now: if that's the case, if that's what you're doing, you're going to end up clingy, and you're going to end up doing. I'll do anything for you.
Yeah,
like, then you're going to get one-itis. That's especially when you're in a state of sexual deficit because like you can't have premarital sex. Jimmy.
Yep. There you go. Yep.
What is this? When is book 6 and 7 coming out? Book 6 is going to be book of Max. It's going to be book of Maxims. I told everybody I wasn't going to do a 6th book in the series for the Rational Male. I might reconsider that, but because I said, okay, I got 5 books.
Fuck it, 10.
We're done. We're done with the series. I might. We'll see. We'll see.
Someone said a good comment. When you put yourself first, ironically, you help more people out.
Yeah,
which is true. It's like it's an opposite way of thinking, but it's so true, bro. It's so true.
Exactly. I got some good comments today, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of people watching.
Yeah,
2,700.
2,700. That's by the way, that's across YouTube and Twitter. By the way, they're aggregating that.
Oh,
so
nice.
They're on 2 platforms even. Yes, and 1971 is coming out as well. I should also mention this is, as I said before, I'm doing the sort of branch off for MOA for the 45 to 65. I'm also writing kind of a smallish book for those guys. It's going to be about the reconstruction. It's about like guys who are reintegrating themselves into the sexual marketplace after being like in a marriage for 20, 25 years and sort of like how they can sort of reassimilate themselves and what's changed. Because a lot of guys are confused. They don't know if they have the social skills at all. They're really rusty to begin with, and they don't understand that you need Instagram and you need all, the sexual market the marketplace has changed so dramatically from the time they were like married 25 years ago to where they are right now. And it's almost I joke about. You ever see the series Tulsa King?
No.
Tulsa King is. You see Tulsa King? Yeah, Tulsa King is fucking great. Man. So Tulsa King has Sylvester Stallone in it. Okay. And so his character is, I don't want to ruin it, spoiler alert, but I'll give you the basic. He's this guy who used to be part of the mob, right? The mafia. And he went away to prison for 25 years because for a crime that he didn't do, but he took the fall. He was a fall guy for the mob, right? So what they do, instead of like putting him back into the mix, when he comes out of prison, instead of putting him in Manhattan or New York, they put him in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so he has to like become a mob boss in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? And that's the humor part of it. But the funniest thing is Sylvester Stallone is like, I think he's like 75 or 77, something like that right now. And so he plays a character that is his age, right? So he was put into jail when he was in his 50s, right? And all the shit that's changed in the last 25 years, that's the humor of the show. So he tries to go to like a weed dispensary, and he's going to take over the weed dispensary, like because he thinks it's still illegal. It's like, no, dude, the weed has been legal forever. and so he's trying to figure out how to draw. He had to get a new driver's license. He had to get a new cell phone and figure out a cell phone and Bluetooth and all this other shit, right? Because he's 25 years. He's been in jail, and all the world's basically passed him by technologically and socially, right? And so it's him being reintegrated, not just sort of out of prison, but also being reintegrated into society. And I got the notion that like a lot of guys who get out of a marriage of say like 25 years, they're being reintegrated back into a sexual marketplace, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like they still think weed is illegal, right? So that's why that's sort of the impetus that I'm using when I'm putting together the program for these guys who are 45, 65 years old. And they might be subject of like gray divorce as well, because it's usually about 50 when guys get divorced and they're empty nesters. So a lot of stuff going on. But I think I'm also working on a book for that. So just so you guys know.
No, books are super useful because I mean, if you get banned everywhere, fuck,
Yeah.
hopefully they don't burn the books, man.
Well, you know, I am subject of an NGO watch list right now, which is kind of like concern. Oh, by the way, I'm not the only one. Cappy, Aaron Clary's on that list too.
Fuck.
I'm like, you guys don't know what the fuck you're doing, or you have no earthly clue what the Manosphere is about. If you put Aaron Clary on the same list as me, I'm insulted that you would do that, because Aaron Clary most definitely doesn't have. I'd say Aaron's probably like red pill adjacent. Like he's definitely red pill, but he's like, I think he's more practical. He's an actuary. You know, I have you met Aaron? He's a great guy.
No, I've seen the stuff though.
Yeah, he's cool. I think, let's see, what do I have anything? I guess that's probably good. Let's gonna put some other stuff on body count here, but anyways, see if anybody.
I think we talked about body count like 5%.
Yeah, body exactly. I don't know. You know, you get rolling and you get rolling. So
yeah, it's good. I like this. This is fire.
Yeah, this is pretty good. Let me see what I got here. I think I had one more thing. Oh, this was Sadia Khan. This is body count here.
One of the things I've been thinking about is almost like historical jealousy. And this is where the body count conversation comes in. What have you come to believe about how much body count matters, and then how can people deal with historical jealousy better?
Well, the thing is, it's now become a big topic of debate, and men are like, oh, body count, body count, body count. It's a big deal. Here's what I really say about body count. The testament of your body count is more your rejection rate than how many people you slept with. Now, if you are, let's take for somebody like you, for example, who's got a big name on social media, looks great, access to loads of women through the nightclub. Now, if your body count is, let's say if it's 10, but you've had hundreds of girls throwing themselves at you, yours is actually still low. Whereas if another guy who has no access to women, but finally gets 1 or 2 girls to sleep with him, on paper it might be less, but his rejection rate is so low. And now instead of looking at how many people sleep with, look at their rejection rate. Now if a girl has slept with 5 men or 10 men, but only 5 or 10 men have tried to approach her, that means every man that tries gets access. But if she's a really attractive woman, she might have higher, but her rejection rate is higher. So really look at how many people your partner is rejecting rather than just their body count, because on paper a really unattractive man who has nothing going for him, his body count's going to be low. Doesn't mean he's a decent man. It's just that he didn't have the opportunity. Similarly, women that are not that nice to be around, not that kind, not that pretty, not that attractive, hers is going to be low. Doesn't mean she's virtuous. It's just that she didn't have access. It's the ones that have access but choose to be selective. That's what you should be looking at, is their selectivity.
Problem is, you can't ask them the number, like how many rejections have you done in.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there's a little bit of logistic problem in that.
Yeah, bitches lie.
Yeah, bitches lie. Yeah, you're not gonna get anything truthful. Now, the reason I brought that up is because, first of all, Sadia Khan is not fucking a legitimate fucking psychologist. Let me just throw that
this
out
chick right
there.
here? Yeah, who is she?
That's Sadia Khan.
Okay.
She's all over the place right now. People like still like her. Like she has Reddit page after Reddit page about like questioning her credentials, which she basically has none. But people will say, well, she's spitting facts anyway, she's talking truth. I'm like, okay, well then let's take this at face value here. I understand what she's saying when it comes to guys, but when it comes to women, that's a different story. So like Mike brought this up. We were on the Danza project out in Fort Lauderdale last week. And the topic came up about if you've got I think he put it this way: if you got a guy who is like a dude who is a Leonardo DiCaprio, you got Leonardo DiCaprio he can fuck X amount of girls, and you've got a guy who it was Harvey Specter from Suits. Do you ever see Suits? Yeah. Harvey Specter's like this really high powered lawyer. He makes a lot of money, good looking guy, and let's say his body count is 10, and then you got Larry the Cable Guy. Okay, who doesn't make a lot of money. He lives in the Midwest somewhere, and his body count is also 10. Okay, Harvey Specter has a much easier time fucking 10 women than Larry the Cable Guy has in fucking 10 women, but they both have the same body count. Okay, who has the better skills, Larry the Cable Guy or Harvey Specter? And of course the debate is like, well, it's Larry the Cable Guy, because for him to get those chicks means he had to go through way more rejections to get to those 10, whereas Harvey Specter probably, like, girls just fucking throw themselves at him. right?
Yep.
So like measuring, like comparing apples and oranges to oranges, again, it comes down to like, what is a high value guy? What is a high value man? High value man is the guy that other men want to be and other women want to fuck. That is basically it.
Simple,
okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you're adding context to. So that guy could be, Andrew Tate and, draped across a fucking Lamborghini in Miami and going to yacht parties, and he's a high value guy, or it can be the guy in the fishing village in Chile. Okay. Who happens to have the only truck in the village. And that guy is the fucking alpha male. Right. He's the guy that's doing it. So what's the context after that? And what did that guy have to go through to become that high value guy? Because we're going to talk about body count. We're going to talk about guys' body count, or talk about women's body count. You also have to take into effect what the context is and how they got to that. So when the girls are on whatever podcast and they're saying, "Oh, I have a body count. I'm an OnlyFans girl," or I used to be Christian and now I'm not Christian anymore, and my body count is 9, and tomorrow it's going to be 16. Right? What is the context of her getting that body, or getting that body count? Now, people will make women love this because it becomes a victim mentality. They want to say, "Well, I was victimized. That's why I have 50 bodies."
Yeah, they use it for coping. I think, women just sleep with a bunch of dudes to cope with, heartbreak, alpha widow, any trauma, no dad, usually no dad. Yeah. Fucking no father figure, parents divorced, whatever. They use that to cope, and that's just what I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say the other part of this is, what was it? Oh, I know what it was. So, I mean, getting back to what Jeffrey Miller was saying, says red pill guys chase the cues of sexual fitness. They might have sex with apparently fertile young women who are on contraception and not having babies. And this, by the way, is like throwing red meat to the trad cons at this point. Okay, they're not having babies. Ooh, that's a reference to, we need to get the fertility rate up. From a Darwinian point of view, what these guys are doing is no different from sitting down and watching porn. Okay. So what that means in this respect, I've answered this question God knows how many times, but there's a I forget what it was. Royce did this one essay about this back in the day, and it's about cads outbreeding dads. And so, or dads outbreeding cads is what I should say. So what it comes down to is, once again, going back to the example that the girl was giving us, about the guys who are going to get it, the guys who are going to, maybe they'll get it, and then the guys who are never going to get it. The idea is this, is like when you're saying that the only metric of success is reproduction, the only reason you should be fucking in the first place is so you can have babies, right? The idea is this, is that the guys who are married are having more sex than the guys who are single. Well, yeah, that statistically, that's always going to be true because you got the 80-20 rule involved. But to say that the metric of success is you've got to get married and you've got to have kids is singular to that mindset, right? So when I'm fighting against guys who are saying like, oh, well, let's talk about the dual mating strategy versus mate switching versus whatever else they're pulling out of their ass at this time. My question is always this, is we can't measure a sexual strategy based on marriage, based on long-term relationships, based on pair bonding, if you want to call it that, right? You can't, because it has to be what comes up to that pair bonding in the first place. So what happened? What made that guy arousing and attractive, and for that woman to want to like either break her rules and fuck him, or to say, okay, he's got the qualities that I want in a long-term partner? How do we get to that point in the first place? And that, I think, should be the main focus, especially coming from guys who are evolutionary psychologists who should fucking know better. Now, I'm just Rollo Tomasi, right? I don't have a degree in fucking evolutionary psychology, but I'm asking questions and connecting dots that these guys are uncomfortable asking. Why are we basing our metrics on pair bonding? Why are we not saying, why is this girl sleeping with this guy? Why is that not the basis of everything? So instead, we're saying, well, we're going to qualify it. We're going to qualify it with creating a long-term relationship and having babies, right? Yeah. So when we do that, you've got the cads versus the dads, the guys who are the Justin Wallers, the guys who are the players who actually are the few and far between who can enjoy promiscuity. When people say, oh, hookup culture, there is no fucking hookup culture. Yeah. There's only hookup culture for girls, for women who want to participate in it, and guys like Justin Waller, I don't want to run him with the flag, like Jason Momoa, like the guys who are the elites, who are of the mindset to want to participate in hookup culture and be a player and be fuck boys, the very few handful of those guys, and any woman who chooses to participate in that. We really need to clarify that, especially when we're discussing body count. Because if a woman has a high body count, odds are, and this is just from statistically speaking, they're sleeping with older guys, or they're sleeping with guys who are the guys that they're fuck boys, who have access to all these guys or all these women. So when we're talking about cads versus dads, the cope is this: dads are outbreeding cads. Okay. They're the ones that are actually creating the next generation. But the problem is like from a like she was saying, from a Darwinian perspective, the cads are actually outperforming and out fucking and out banging the dads, because by the time dad gets to be a dad, girl has already fucked X amount of cads, and might be one of those cads might be an alpha widow for her that she's still pining over. Probably, so now you're dealing with the alpha widow side of things. But guess what? Just because of contraception and just because of the sexual dynamics of this new global sexual marketplace, that guy who has access to all those to your new wife who fucked your wife back in the day, you might have a baby with her, and that might seem like success to you. But you know who licked the ice cream before you got the carton? Is those guys. Not saying every woman will, but any woman can. Yep. So when we're talking about cads versus dads, or we want to make you want to say that pornography is like masturbating, or these guys saying go and have sex with the mistaken idea that the red pill is telling guys to go be promiscuous is the same as like jerking off to porn, because there's no reproduction happening because of contraception. Then making that it's a stupid comparison, because the guys who are going to be fucking are still going to be fucking either way. Yep. They would be the ones fathering all the children were it not for contraception. They would be the ones that women would choose to reproduce with if it weren't for contraception. Yep. So those guys are still sexually successful in the virtual sense. But the thing is the guys who are actually the dads who are actually doing the breeding and having the kids, those guys are the ones who are getting fucked over, because they're the ones who are the leftovers. They're the ones who the women will settle for. Whereas, again, taking away contraception, it would have been the guys who are the cads. Interesting. Okay. So, anyways, where can we see? I think we'll close out here. Where can we see you? What's your? I think I already put your YouTube in there. So the YouTube is just Logan Duong. My Instagram is at the Logan Duong. You guys can go to my website, loganduong.com. My DMs are pretty open, so if you guys want to hit me up, I might take a while to respond, but I'll make sure I get back to you guys. If you have any questions or you want to debate with me, have it on your show, whatever. When's the next time you're going to be on whatever podcast? We'll see about that one. That one's I don't know. That one's a wild show. But that's where we all know you from. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. If you guys want to find my podcast, you guys search up Logan Duong on Spotify as well. That's kind of what I'm known for on Spotify. My podcast hit like top 50 podcasts in the States. How did you get canceled? When did I get canceled? Like, dude, the first 6 months of me starting creating content on this stuff. I literally talked about body count. On what platform though? I got deleted off TikTok. Fucking dude. Well, my cancellation is different. So I got banned off TikTok, got banned on Instagram, got banned on YouTube. But they had cops come to my house. I got swatted. They weren't letting me graduate high school either. Really? Yeah, bro. It was fucking. They weren't about it. Yeah, they weren't allowed. They wouldn't give you a diploma, or they wouldn't let you walk. Or give me my fucking diploma either. And so it was super funny because it was like a month before we were supposed to graduate high school, and I pulled up. And I used to wear these sunglasses in all my videos of me pulling bitches. It was like these pit vipers. And so I was kind of known for that. And so on graduation day, I pulled up to graduation with these pit vipers. Everyone was like, what the fuck? This kid's supposed to be canceled. And I was just, having fun fucking around with the boys. Mm-hmm. But it was a pretty funny experience. My family was there. My family's always been super supportive of me. So even when I was getting canceled, they're on my side and my team. But they were trying to fuck over my family too, leak my family's info, leak where my parents work, a bunch of crazy shit, just because I was talking about body count. And on the video, I was just saying, how men and women are valued, which is, women are born with value. They're born with guys wanting them right off the bat, right? And women are valued based upon their ethics and their morals. So
when they're a baby, they already have 100% ethic and morals, right? And over time, the more that they do promiscuous stuff, they drink, they smoke, they get tattoos, their value lowers because their ethics and they're judged based upon their ethics and their morals. And it stops for guys. Guys are born with zero value. We're born with nothing because we're valued based upon what we can provide, our resources, our success, our power. So we're born with zero value. But over time, we can make that grow. And if we don't make that grow, we stay a slave forever. We stay invisible. So that's the paradigm. That's what's different is guys have the ability to grow and they can also lose it too.
Yep.
And for women, they can either stay the same at 100% max level, you know, being wanted, or they could go down. And sadly, that can't really be changed unless the guy's retarded. They try to wipe
like
him
what I
up.
always say is like men must become and women just are.
Yes, correct. So that's what I talked about. And I said whore, and they got mad.
You said whore?
I said whore in the video. They got mad.
Jeez, yeah, wow. You got banned for saying whore. It's in the English language. It's in the dictionary. I know.
Yeah, it's a harsh word, but you know, it gets views, I guess, and it triggers people. I think it's kind of what you need. You kind of need to
Now, how
hit
did
people.
you snap back from that? Like, how did you?
Yeah, so
rebuild
I made a fake apology video actually, and I was like, they're all on Instagram. "Oh, we want him to say sorry. All my principals and all these cops were saying, you just have to make an apology video. Just make an apology video. Everything will go away. And I was like, okay, sure. So I made a fake apology video. I was like, hey, I just wanted to say sorry for absolutely fucking nothing.
All you,
yeah,
I just want to tell all you whores, go fuck off.
Yeah, bro. And
I'm sorry.
And dude, that one
for
blew
not
up
telling you
even more.
sooner.
And so I just doubled down. I doubled down, and you know, it's funny is all the girls who are trying to cancel me are the girls that want to sleep with me, but I curve them. Girls I already slept with in the past, and they were trying to be salty and shit. So it's super funny. It's like all these girls have already slept, but the simps who were watching the cancellation, they were like, oh, this guy's a toxic asshole, because this is what the girls are posting on their stories from high school. And they're thinking, I'm like, you know, that they thinking that they're going to get pussy. They're like, oh, if I repost this guy
I hope
and
she
how
sees
he's
this, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like, bro, she still won't fuck you. And actually
Yeah.
that's when Sterling and I like started talking, because I did a podcast like shortly after, and you know, we were talking about it because it's super funny. But yeah, that's what happened. And you know, I still have like the texts and stuff in this and videos of me with these girls smashing. The same girls who are trying to cancel me. I'm like, bro, it's hilarious. And it just shows girls are societal creatures, and they will do whatever to get the vote in the tribe. And in the tribe, it was a high school.
Yes,
Correct. So what was going on was I was the enemy. And so everyone's flipping on me, including the beta male simps, because they have the same hive mindset, because they can't survive on their own. That's just how they think. And any guy who knows better, and any guy who knows me personally, they were just fucking laughing at this shit. This shit was hilarious. But yeah, that's kind of how I got canceled, and that was the story.
Oh man, jeez, I didn't know the whole story either. That was fucking great.
Yeah.
Were you going on whatever podcast when all this was going down?
No. So I got canceled when I think 2021, one or whatever, a year ago, like with you. So that was 2023. So it was a 2-year period gap. Yeah. But hopefully looking to get canceled again. So
get canceled again. Yeah, you probably will. Jeez, man, that's great. Fucking yeah. Jeez, I thought I had it rough. Well, you know, I mean, gosh, I might still. I got put on the NGO list for diverting hate, and I'll tell you this right now is I'm looking at legal representation for this right now, because if they're going to cut into like potential earnings that I had, then you know,
fuck them.
I don't think technically, because YouTube is a privately owned company, I don't know that I could be able to, you know, really throw anything at them, but I could definitely throw it at diverting hate and the McCain Institute for using, you know, taxpayer dollars to essentially divert traffic to state approved competitor sites, right? So really I could sue them for damages inflicted there.
Hell yeah.
And the other thing is if I lose my ability, if I lose a payment processor as a result of this, like Stripe or something like that, then I'm really going to come after your fucking asses. So, so we do have there is some damage issues that are. I've got a guy right now looking at the potential for it. Now, again, do I have the money to like litigate stuff like this? This is the whole thing. The reason why they're doing shit like this is because they know, like they've says in their report, in their most recent report from March, that they want to be able to cancel people before they get too much money. The reason why that is because they don't want those guys to have the money to be able to litigate against what the fuck they're doing.
Yep.
So that's yet one more thing. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to be with Justin Waller is in town. I'll probably be seeing Justin at some point. I know he's on he's doing iced coffee with Grant.
Yeah, Grant Stephan.
Yeah. So that's a big deal. I'm happy.
That's dope.
I didn't know he was in Vegas.
Thomas texted me.
Yeah,
that's how I found out.
Thomas, you know where this place is. I know he's too busy taking video of people, but so I got that going on. Let's see, what else do I have happening? I will be there's no Access Vegas this Thursday, but we're going to do one on the next one, which will be June 6th will be the next one. In the meantime, I will be going to I'm invited to another white party in Los Angeles at Teatro, and I might go to that. So I will see. That's on June 1st. It just sort of depends on like my logistics. But there will be another Babes in Toyland on June 13th. Why am I telling you this? Well, remember the group that I told you about on MOA about the 45 to 65-year-old guys? That's going to be sort of our test. We're going to be doing a proof of concept thing. So if you want to get in on that, we're going to do a meetup at Babes in Toyland, and then we're going to do sort of a wrap-up thing the next day and the next morning. So it is June 13th is a Thursday. That's Babes in Toyland. It will be in Los Angeles. I believe it's at the Mondrian in Hollywood. So we'll be there. I'll be helping Mike host it, which means I go around and get the girls he wants to go and interview other things. So that's my contribution to it, right? So we'll be there. I want to say it's at the Mondrian. I'm pretty sure it is. It'll be for charity. I think it's for animal rescue this time. So if you're interested in joining this new sort of, I guess, gentleman's club or this mature man's club, 45 to 65, if you're 70, you can, please give me a call. But we're going to be doing this. If you're not on my mailing list, please get on it and you want to be part of this, because that's how I'm going to reach out to people. And so the guys who are already in MOA, you're already a part of this anyway. So if you want to meet up there, you can. We'll be doing that on the 13th, and then on the 14th, which is Friday afterwards in the morning, I think we're probably going to get together and just sort of hang out. And it's just basically a meetup. It's just a casual meetup for this one. So if you want to be a part of that and you want to be a part of this new sort of branch off group, please get in touch with me, and you can do so. All my contacts are in the description. Hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, or just email me, which is probably the best way. One more time, I am on Minect right now. So if you guys want to have any kind of you want me to answer a question, if you want me to give you a video response or audio response or whatever, do it through Minect. You just download the app and you can do it that way. It's just a whole lot easier. Thanks, Sammy, for putting that out there, my friend. Let me put this up here. There you go. Got it? There you go. Yes, we massage everybody here. Yes, you're correct. Here, are you ready for your massage now?
Onlyfans.com.
Yes, there you go. Yes, I sell feet pictures there too. There's that attention you were looking for. Oh man, I love it. The best time to go. The best time for haters is right at the end of the show.
When they've watched the entire thing.
Yeah, when you watch, because I know you've watched the whole thing. I'm like, well, you're still here, motherfucker. You're still watching, aren't you? I hate these guys. 3 hours later.
Same thing like girls, bro. They vote with their feet.
Yeah, that is true. All right, guys. I will let you guys go. Thanks for watching. I will be back. Of course, again, we'll be back on Sunday. We will be in the new studio that you guys saw in the very beginning of the show. So we'll be in the new it's a corner unit now, and it's on the 4th floor instead of the 6th floor, and it's beautiful. And we have a lot of work to do, Kyle. We got to do a lot of moving. If anybody wants to come help us move, please come on down. We'll give you pizza, pizza and beer. We have to go. It wouldn't be so bad, except for the fucking elevators here are so goddamn small.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be so bad for that. But anyways, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you guys next week.
I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time, but I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. What'd you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules. bathroom, tearing up everywhere. Why don't got your hair? Why you screaming my name? She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and stuffing with her head like she's Claudia Kelly. So baby, come ride me up and down like a pony, turning up my song, getting nasty, working up and down on your body. Ride me up and down like a pony, turning up my song on your body. Baby, we'll get down to it all night, but maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again, won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again.
Preceding podcast has been a production of The Rational Male at Red One Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. All rights reserved. 2024. Registered trademark. Don't steal my stuff.